Chapter 1137, Possession. 1. If a split self wanted to become the true original self, the only option was to personally destroy the original self. Otherwise, it would remain as a split self forever. Humph. There'll be one day where I take revenge for today and kill him. The Blood Moon Elder scoffed as his eyes twinkled continuously. Yi Qingtang's lips twitched slightly after hearing the Blood Moon Elder. The elderly's martial skills were immeasurable, and even in her peak in her previous life, she might not be able to defeat that elderly. Allow me to remind you that your original self is very likely a holy venerate, Yi Qingtang said candidly. Holy venerate? The Blood Moon Elder's expression changed instantly, but it only lasted for a moment as he returned to his previous fierce expression. Humph. So what if he is a holy venerate? As long as I can kill him personally, all of his will be mine, and I will become a holy venerate as well. Then, the Blood Moon Elder suddenly changed the direction of his discourse and said, however, thinking about it carefully, I exist because of him. Forget it. I will be compassionate and spare his life. Yi Qingtang stared blankly at the Blood Moon Elder. When has this Blood Moon Elder ever been compassionate? Now that he had changed his stance, it was probably because he learned of that elderly's holy venerate cultivation base, and was frightened. Yi Qingtang was already used to the Blood Moon Elder's flexibility, according to the situation, and merely cast him a look plainly without saying anything. She directly led the Blood Moon Elder to the demonic creature's side and pushed him towards it. Don't say any more bullshit. Quickly possess it. This opportunity was rare. Han Sungming and Blood Moon Holy Lord seemed to have a feud, and no one knew where they had battled to. Blood Moon Elder looked at the demonic creature on the ground with a complicated expression. However, he abandoned his last principle and immediately moved forward to use his mental energy to invade the demonic creature's body. Who cares if it was human or not? If he still did not work hard to become more powerful, he would be killed by that old original self. However big the world was, his life was the most important thing. Blood Moon Elder had thought it through, but after a long while later, he panted heavily and was sweating profusely. He looked at Yi Qingtang dejectedly and said, Holy Lady. I can't do it. This demonic creature's mental energy is too strong. Given my current level, it's simply impossible to break through his mental defense. What the hell is this? He had already given up his rights to become human, but there was still such an obstacle. Yi Qingtang nodded. This was reasonable. It was easy for a high-level powerful figure to possess a low-level cultivator, but if a low-level cultivator wanted to possess the body of a high-level figure, it was almost impossible. Suddenly, Yi Qingtang raised her right arm, and a pitch-black flame floated in her palm. Before Blood Moon Elder's eyes, Yi Qingtang waved her hand gently and threw that destructive flame onto the demonic creature. At the same time, the demonic creature shrieked in pain as though it was a cry from the depth of his soul. The demonic creature was heavily injured and had lost all combat ability, thus, it had no way of blocking Yi Qingtang's black flame. Yi Qingtang immediately looked at Blood Moon Elder and said, Continue. All right. Blood Moon Elder nodded and then used the power of his spirit to invade into the demonic creature's body. Chapter 1138, Possession. 2. It's a pity. It's still short by a little. But compared to before, this demonic creature's mental defense is much weaker, the Blood Moon Elder said. Upon hearing that, Yi Qingtang continued to increase the amount and density of the black flame, causing the demonic creature to lose control of his mind. 15 minutes later, the Blood Moon Elder fell onto the ground with a pale complexion. It's so painful. The demonic creature slowly stood up from the ground and let out a deafening roar that resembled explosive thunder in the sky. Witnessing this, Yi Qingtang slowly retracted all her black flames as the Blood Moon Elder had clearly succeeded in the possession. I can't anymore. It's so painful, the Blood Moon Elder howled continuously. Yi Qingtang was calm to the wailing Blood Moon Elder and shrugged slightly. The demonic creature was already severely injured prior to this and was burned by Yi Qingtang's black flame when it was defenseless. Now that the Blood Moon Elder succeeded in possessing it, he was fully bonded with the demonic creature's body. It would be weird if he did not feel pain. Eat this. Yi Qingtang took out a bottle of healing elixir from her space ring and tossed it to Blood Moon Elder. After getting hold of it, the Blood Moon Elder poured all of its contents down his throat. However, this healing elixir did not seem to be effective on his new body and could only relieve a slight amount of the excruciating pain all over his body. Yi Qingtang's healing elixir was merely targeted towards Yin-Yang perfected Lord figures, while this demonic creature's skills were way beyond the Yin-Yang perfected Lord realm. Thus, this elixir did not have any special use for the Blood Moon Elder. The Blood Moon Elder sat on the ground cross-legged and used his own powers to heal himself. It had to be said that not only did this demonic creature's body possess perfect defense, but its healing powers were extremely shocking as well. In less than an hour, it had already healed 30 to 40%. Puff, puff, the Blood Moon Elder panted heavily. Holy Lady, this demonic creature's body is really insanely powerful. It's good that you like it. Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder and chuckled. Blood Moon Elder immediately checked himself out and eventually wore a helpless expression. Apart from powerful skills, he was nothing at all. Oh right. Holy Lady, I think that I can hide in the Yu ancient clan, Blood Moon Elder suddenly whispered to Yi Qingtang. After hearing that, Yi Qingtang frowned slightly. Although this was a good idea, it was too risky. If Yu ancient clan grew suspicious, the Blood Moon Elder would be in an extremely dangerous situation. It's too risky, Yi Qingtang said after contemplation. Holy Lady, this mainland is about to be wiped out, and I view myself as a part of this mainland. If the Yu ancient clan had their way, all living beings on this mainland would die. It is extremely dangerous no matter where we are. Instead, it is better to initiate a strike. If I conceal myself in the Yu ancient clan, at least we can obtain information on the Yu ancient clan and their next step. It is easier to fight them this way. The Blood Moon Elder said rather agitatedly. Looking at the Blood Moon Elder's persistence, Yi Qingtang, however, felt like laughing. Tracing back to when they first met, who would have thought that there would be a day where the once brutal Blood Moon Elder would actually sacrifice himself for the common people. Chapter 1139, Shell, 1. Ultimately, Yi Qingtang gave in and allowed the Blood Moon Elder to do as he wanted. At the same time, dozens of miles away, two immensely good-looking men stood in the air silently. A blood-colored long robe swayed in the wind as a pair of cold eyes landed on Han Sungming. Han Sungming, you could have stayed out of this, the Blood Moon Holy Lord said without emotions after a while. Han Sungming was silent. I'm very curious. Are you really the demon god, Han Sungming? A long time later, Blood Moon Holy Lord asked once again, though he looked at Han Sungming with suspicion and confusion. Han Sungming was known as the demon god, but everyone knew that he was not a demon. It was just that his intellect was demon-like, thus, people named him as the demon god. Although Han Kangming's martial skills were emperor level, it was slightly inferior when compared to other emperor level figures. What people were afraid of in Han Sungming was not his cultivation base but his intellect. Compared to his intelligence, his emperor level skills were nothing at all. However, the current Han Sungming was not the one in the Blood Moon Holy Lord's memory. The Han Sungming before seemed to be a completely different person. Han Sungming. Yi Qingtang's death is also greatly beneficial to you, the Blood Moon Holy Lord said coldly when he saw that Han Sungming had yet to respond. No. Han Sungming narrowed his eyes and ultimately spoke. My heart is in her body. Heart, Blood Moon Holy Lord's eyes flickered. So you believe that the heart in Yi Qingtang's body is yours? Han Sungming did not reply, but his silence seemed to verify the Blood Moon Holy Lord's question. As a demon god who has a demon intellect, since when did you become an idiot? The Blood Moon Holy Lord looked at the silent Han Sungming, and his suspicions intensified. You don't have any ability to think independently. Are you really Han Sangming? Han Kangming's brows furrowed slightly. Swoosh. All of a sudden, without any warning at all, the Blood Moon Holy Lord formed a strange print with his palm. A blood-colored bolt of lightning appeared in the sky and struck down at Han Sangming. Han Sangming reacted swiftly and immediately descended to the ground, avoiding the Blood Moon Holy Lord's fatal blow. However, when Han Sangming landed on the ground, two blood-colored metal chains shot out from the ground and trapped Han Sangming tightly. As expected, the Blood Moon Holy Lord landed on the ground with his hands behind him a while later. I formed two remarkable skills just now. The first was a seal that activated from the ground while the second was a small heavenly tribulation that activated from the sky. You only saw the small heavenly tribulation but was unable to think of the sealed boundary on the ground. The Blood Moon Holy Lord looked at Han Sangming and said. Han Sangming was emotionless and did not understand what the Blood Moon Holy Lord was saying. So, you're only a shell that acts instinctively, without any thinking ability at all. Blood Moon Holy Lord's eyes glistened. What a joke. I fought with a shell for so long. Only an emperor-level figure could slip away by withdrawing his soul to be reborn and leave his shell behind to trick the world. The so-called shell only had the emperor-level figure's instinctive thinking and did not possess any consciousness or emotions, including independent thinking. It was merely a power storehouse. Ha! An icy smile appeared on Blood Moon Holy Lord's face. Withdrawing your soul and leaving your body behind. Han Sangming, this lives up to your name as the demon god. However, just as Blood Moon Holy Lord spoke, the sealed Han Sangming suddenly flashed a wicked smile. The pair of distant eyes were now coated by a devilish charm, and even his cold face was more devilish now. It was as if Han Kangming's demeanor changed completely in an instant. Han Kangming's eyes slowly landed on Blood Moon Holy Lord as he laughed lightly. Heavenly brother, it's not too nice to bully my shell like this, isn't it? You're here. Blood Moon Holy Lord sized up Han Sangming once again when he heard that familiar tone. After knowing what happened to you back then, I've already predicted that I would be next. Thus, I withdrew my soul to be reincarnated. This body is only left behind to trick the heavenly Tao. There's no need to be surprised, Han Sangming said with a laugh. Since that's the case, why did you instruct your shell to hinder me? The Blood Moon Holy Lord asked coldly. Heavenly brother. You should know that the heart of the heavenly Tao has not been nurtured successfully and will be reincarnated endlessly. What can you do even if you kill Yi Qingtang today? After Yi Qingtang dies, she will be reincarnated once again, and she would still become a new holder until the heart of the heavenly Tao is nurtured successfully. Otherwise, there is no end. Han Sangming answered. If that's the case, I'll kill her every time she is reincarnated, said the Blood Moon Holy Lord. But Yi Qingtang is innocent, Han Sangming said with a smile. Innocent? Blood Moon Holy Lord's eyes turned cold. The heart of the heavenly Tao is in her body, and she is a holder. If I kill her, the owner of the heart of the heavenly Tao will have wasted his efforts and can only let her be reincarnated again to become a new holder. This is my revenge on the heavenly Tao. Furthermore, she will live a desolate life even if she lives. Why not die and not have to suffer? Ha ha ha. Han Sangming laughed suddenly, but his eyes turned extremely cold at that instant. Heavenly brother, I think that you're too full of yourself. You hate the owner of the heart of the heavenly Tao, but why must you put all the blame on Miss Yi? You said that her being alive is suffering itself, but I feel that she is living very well. You think that this is being good to her, but have you ever asked about her opinion? Furthermore, you and Miss Yi don't seem to be related. The Blood Moon Holy Lord was silent. The woman he loved the most had already died a long time ago, and even if Yi Qingtang was the reincarnation of his most beloved woman, their souls were completely different. They were two independent individuals. The reincarnation of a dead person was totally different from the person before death. This was the law of the world. As an emperor-level figure, the heavenly emperor naturally understood this logic. Heavenly brother. You treated that lady as your wife, but has she ever loved you? The only thing she cared about was martial power. She was even unwilling to give up on the heart of the heavenly Tao and believed that the heart of the heavenly Tao would bring her immense power. So be it if that kind of person dies. She is not worthy of such treatment from you, Han Sungming said. The Blood Moon Holy Lord was silent. As Han Sungming had said, although they were married by name, they were unlike husband and wife. It was such that even the woman he loved dearly had never loved him. So what? Two blood-colored light beams suddenly shot out of the Blood Moon Holy Lord's eyes. Chapter 1141, Shell, 3. In a flash, Han Kangming's body was penetrated by the blood-colored light beams. Han Sungming, don't let me find your original self. Or else, you'll be killed, Blood Moon Holy Lord said. You don't know how to appreciate favors. Han Sungming broke free from the metal chains and fought the Blood Moon Holy Lord. The deafening battle caused the ground to shake and mountains to collapse. Thud. Boom. As a blood-colored shadow collided into a white body, a powerful wind was raked up in the sky. In the next second, both Blood Moon Holy Lord and Han Sungming crashed down and made an extremely deep dent on the ground. Cough. Blood Moon Holy Lord had blood on the side of his lips as he slowly stood up from the dent. Han Sungming was also severely injured. Their skills could not be used to the best on this mainland and were highly restricted. Has the power of karma also reached its maximum? Han Sungming mumbled. A while later, Ling Yan's soul disappeared from this body. Han Sungming resumed his past aloofness. Seeing that he was heavily injured, he frowned and immediately bolted away in the horizon without a trace. On a certain mountain peak in central mainland, Ling Yan slowly opened his cold eyes. That's too risky, Ling Yan. The little azure dragon looked at Ling Yan and said. It's fine, Ling Yan said. It's fine. The little azure dragon scoffed coldly. You use the power of karma to enter your body. Heavenly Emperor must have sensed it now. Alright, of course you aren't afraid of Heavenly Emperor, but what about the Heavenly Tao? Are you not afraid that the Heavenly Tao will sense it? Heavenly Tao, Ling Yan looked up at the sky, and his lips curled into an icy smile. I'm afraid the Heavenly Tao has already become a demon Tao now. Whether I'm afraid or not, it is something I'll have to face eventually. Ah, the little azure dragon sighed. I hope that the Heavenly Tao does not sense it. Otherwise, all your efforts will be wasted. Oh right, what happened to Heavenly Emperor? Have you defeated him? The little azure dragon looked at Ling Yan and asked. Ling Yan chuckled. My body is wounded, but he is nowhere better either. He probably will not attack Miss Yi for the time being. What about your body? The little azure dragon asked curiously. It probably ran away, Ling Yan said and laughed. Ran away? The little azure dragon was surprised. If it's me, I would instinctively escape first and find a place to recuperate if I see that I am injured. His instincts are mine too, thus, it should have fled. Ling Yan explained. In Wind Cloud City. As Yi Qingtang looked the Blood Moon Elder's huge, hideous, and horrifying body, she wanted to stay away from him for some reason. Holy Lady, can you give me some respect? Blood Moon Elder put on a long face. I know that I am a little ugly right now, but you can act a little at the very least. Yi Qingtang stared at him blankly. Was this a little ugly? This was simply too hideous to see. Is it really that scary? Blood Moon Elder piled smiles on his face and looked at Yi Qingtang. It's better for you to not smile. Yi Qingtang shifted her gaze away instinctively as her eyes hurt. She really wanted to take a mirror and let the Blood Moon Elder see how unbearable of a sight his smiling face was. The Blood Moon Sect Elder stared at her. aren't the two of you too dizzy with success? All of a sudden, the little white tiger poked its head out from Yi Qingtang's arms and said, "Don't forget that the 10 cities are connected. With the fall of Wind Cloud City and Sky Stars City, the Yu ancient clan will definitely be alarmed." Yi Qingtang's brows furrowed suddenly when she heard the little white tiger. Yi Qingtang was surprised by the appearance of Blood Moon Holy Lord and Han Sangming, and she had forgotten about this issue. Yi Qingtang took a look at the Blood Moon Elder and then turned around and walked out of the city. However, before she could walk far, a cold voice suddenly filled the entire Wind Cloud City. Yi Qingtang looked in the sky almost instinctively. A middle-aged man in a long golden robe was standing in the air silently, exuding a frightening martial aura. As Yi Qingtang looked up, the golden-robed man also looked down at Yi Qingtang at the same time. "It seems that it's you who annihilated my 2 teams." The golden-robed man looked at Yi Qingtang and said without emotions. "This is bad." Yi Qingtang frowned deeply as an inauspicious feeling surged within her. This person's cultivation base was unfathomable. Even though this mainland could suppress a cultivator's cultivation base, the energy inside one's body was not suppressed. For Yi Qingtang, her body was filled with primordial qi, but the gold-robed man in the air had already advanced from primordial qi to the force of a heavenly venerate. To advance from primordial qi to the force of a heavenly venerate, one's martial realm had to at least be in the heavenly venerate realm. Even if Yi Qingtang had a similar martial realm as the gold-robed man, Yi Qingtang was using primordial qi while the gold-robed man was using the force of a heavenly venerate. These 2 energies were on entirely different levels. A world of differences. Yi Qingtang naturally knew that she did not have the slightest chance of victory when opposing the golden-robed man, who possessed the force of a heavenly venerate. At this instant, Blood Moon Elder's fists were clenched tightly as a somber expression filled his eyes. "Elder Enfo, I told you to guard Wind Cloud City and look after Sky Stars City back then, but is this your reply to me?" Suddenly, the golden-robed man looked at Blood Moon Elder and said coldly. Blood Moon Elder was slightly taken aback by the gold-robed man's words. It was then when he suddenly remembered that his current identity was Elder Enfo of the Yu ancient clan. "General, have mercy." The Blood Moon Elder's eyes brightened. His huge body suddenly kneeled down with a fearful expression. "General, it's this lady. She lured me away from the base." The Blood Moon Elder knew that there were a few generals and 1 commander who came from the Yu ancient clan this time. Logically speaking, the captain would not appear easily, thus, this golden-robed man before him should be a general. "Are you sure you want to find an excuse?" the golden-robed man asked. Blood Moon Elder secretly sighed in relief. It seemed that he had guessed correctly, this gold-robed man was indeed a general. "General, I am to blame. Please give me a chance. I will chop this lady into pieces. I will kill her." The Blood Moon Elder shouted sternly. "What are you still waiting for then?" the golden-robed man said expressionlessly. "Thank you for giving me a chance to amend my mistakes." The Blood Moon Elder stood up slowly before turning around to shoot a furious glare at Yi Qingtang and secretly gave her a wink. "This lowly ant. I will kill you." The Blood Moon Elder hollered in rage. "Can you do it?" Yi Qingtang noticed Blood Moon Elder's discreet action but did not give anything away from her expression. "You have a death wish." Then, the Blood Moon Elder threw a punch towards Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang's expression changed slightly after sensing the might from Blood Moon Elder's fist. This Blood Moon Elder was actually for real. Swoosh! Yi Qingtang naturally did not dare to fight head-on and leaped away instantly, avoiding Blood Moon Elder's powerful punch that was sufficient to cause an earthquake. "Bitch, do you only know how to escape?" the Blood Moon Elder shouted coldly when he failed to get her with the first strike. Yi Qingtang unsheathed her sword and immediately slashed down at the Blood Moon Elder. Nevertheless, the scarlet sword gleam only left a tiny scratch on the Blood Moon Elder's body. "Am I actually so powerful? Too powerful. My unparalleled defense. The Blood Moon Elder was shocked to see the tiny scratch on his body. However, this was not the time for him to marvel at his might. He looked at Yi Qingtang and feigned viciousness. Lowly ant from this low-level mainland. You've angered me. Then, the Blood Moon Elder stamped a foot down at Yi Qingtang. Noticing the situation, Yi Qingtang dashed ahead swiftly. The Blood Moon Elder immediately chased after her. At this instant, Blood Moon Elder's colossal frame rampaged through Wind Cloud City, and many buildings in the city collapsed from the collision as though it was a natural disaster. Without turning back, Yi Qingtang had fled out of Wind Cloud City in no time. Do you only know how to run? The Blood Moon Elder pursued her with all his might and shouted thunderously. Just like that, the two people gradually got far away from the city. Until some time later, near a spring at a mountain valley, the Blood Moon Elder shouted. Holy Lady, stop running. Hearing that, Yi Qingtang turned around to see that the Blood Moon Elder was standing beside a spring and had stopped the chase. It seems that the Yu ancient clan's general did not chase over. The Blood Moon Elder looked behind, and there was no sight of the golden-robed man. With the two people singing the same tune and with one running and one chasing, they managed to bluff the golden-robed man. Yi Qingtang also sighed in relief at the situation. The Yu ancient clan general's martial skills were too domineering, and given Yi Qingtang's combat powers at the moment, she was not his opponent at all. What to do? Worry was etched across Blood Moon Elder's face. The Yu ancient clan is too powerful in general. It is simply impossible to stop them with just a few of us. To oppose the Yu ancient clan's main force, this mainland required powerful figures who were around at least Yin Yang perfected Lord's sixth heaven and even the Yang Lord realm. Even a Yang Lord did not have much chance at winning against a general of the Yu ancient clan, and this was ignoring the fact that there was still another mysterious commander above the generals. Yi Qingtang was the only Yang Lord in Falling Sky Valley. If those Yang Lords from Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Baiming Manor joined forces, there was a possibility that they could contend against the Yu ancient clan's main force. But despite so, they could only fight against the main force, and there was still no way to deal with the three generals and commander. Return to Falling Sky Valley first. Yi Qingtang looked at Blood Moon Elder and said. Blood Moon Elder nodded. They could only return to Falling Sky Valley for now. It was already considered impressive for them to be able to take down two cities by chance on this trip. However, before they could take any action, Blood Moon Elder's expression changed abruptly, and he glared at Yi Qingtang furiously. This ant from a low-level mainland. Let me see where else can you flee to. Chapter 1144, Giving One's All in Acting, 3. After Blood Moon Elder finished his sentence, he threw a heavy punch at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly. Shifting her gaze a little, she saw that the golden-robed man was already floating above them and observing them. This fellow actually came over. Yi Qingtang lamented deep down, but she knew that the show that she and Blood Moon Elder put up would not end soon. Boom! A deafening sound echoed in the mountain valley. Blood Moon Elder's fist missed the target and caused a huge dent in the ground. Humph! Suddenly, a loud scoff could be heard from above. General! Blood Moon Elder immediately kneeled with one knee on the ground and looked up into the sky. Elder Enfo, are you unable to defeat a Yang Lord from this low-level mainland? The golden-robed man stared at Blood Moon Elder and questioned coldly. General, this lattice skills are exceptional. Please give me some more time. I will definitely be able to capture her alive, Blood Moon Elder said with cupped fists. Capture her alive? The gold-robed man said coldly, what would I want you to capture her alive for? Then please wait a moment, General. I will definitely present her head to you. Blood Moon Elder said hurriedly. Good for nothing. The golden-robed man waved his hand. You can't even settle such a small matter properly. Get lost. I will do it myself. Noted, Blood Moon Elder retreated backward immediately and made a path for the golden-robed man. Almost instantly, the gold-robed man landed on the ground slowly, and his cold eyes sized up Yiqingtang. Oh! I never expected that you are already an yin-yang perfected Lord 8th Heaven at such a young age in this low-level mainland. It's indeed considered a miracle. So? Yiqingtang said coldly. Ha! The gold-robed man chuckled. I cherish talents. You are pretty gifted in martial cultivation. If you are willing to join and serve the Yu ancient clan for life, I can consider giving you a way out and spare your life. What do you think? Yiqingtang sneered in her heart after hearing what the golden-robed man said. While what he said sounded nice, putting it plainly, he was merely telling her to become a slave of the Yu ancient clan. However, Yiqingtang had never thought of turning her back against this mainland that she grew up in and joining the so-called Yu ancient clan just to keep her own life. What happens if I refuse? A cold glint flashed across her eyes as Yiqingtang looked at the gold-robed man. Refuse? Yiqingtang's reply caught the gold-robed man by surprise. In the past, their ancient Yu clan annexed low-level mainlands, and the powerful talents from these mainlands fought to become a slave for the ancient Yu clan to protect their lives. Yet, this lady from a low-level mainland actually wanted to refuse this offer. Ha! Of course, the ancient Yu clan will not force you for such matters. However, if you're unwilling to join, then you are an enemy, and since you're an enemy, the only route is to die. Afterward, an overpowering force appeared and enveloped Yiqingtang in it. Yiqingtang pondered after feeling the golden-robed man's aura. His martial skills were at least in the heavenly venerate realm, and he possessed the power of a heavenly venerate. Furthermore, even though coming to this mainland would reduce his cultivation realm, he was still at the peak of yin-yang perfected Lord 8th Heaven while she was merely an ordinary yin-yang perfected Lord 8th Heaven. Chapter 1145, Giving One's All in Acting. 4. Regardless of martial realm or the source of energy in the body, Yiqingtang was inferior to this golden-robed man. If they fought, the chance of her winning would be less than 20% even if she used all her cards. If they did what Ling Yan said and left Wind, Cloud City earlier from the start, she and Blood Moon Holy Lord would not meet this golden-robed man. However, the Blood Moon Holy Lord's appearance completely disrupted Yiqingtang's momentum, and she could not retreat early as per Ling Yan's plan. If I join forces with Blood Moon Elder, the chance of winning is only about 30%, Yiqingtang estimated in her heart. A 30% chance of winning was still too dangerous, and even if she could really win, injuries were unavoidable. However, Yiqingtang was at least 40% confident that she could escape. Since Blood Moon Elder wanted to enter the ancient Yu clan's headquarters, there was no need to bother with him, and the success rate of fleeing alone would be much higher. It seems that you ants from this low-level mainland have a backbone. However, the price of having a backbone is to pay it with your life. As the golden-robed man spoke, he swung a palm out. The power of a heavenly venerate rampaged through the place and slashed toward Yiqingtang forcefully. However, at this instant, the Blood Moon Elder who was standing behind the golden-robed man acted, and his eyes twinkled dangerously. Swoosh! The moment when the gold-robed man launched his attack, the Blood Moon Elder suddenly smashed his fist at him. Sensing the frightening force that was coming in his way, the golden-robed man was slightly startled, and he looked behind instinctively. However, what entered his eyes was a metal fist that was comparable to a small mountain peak. The golden-robed man did not have any defense against the Blood Moon Elder. Caught off guard, he got hit by the Blood Moon Elder's punch that was thrown with all his might. A deafening sound erupted, and the golden-robed man was subsequently buried under the Blood Moon Elder's fist. Boom, boom, boom. As Blood Moon Elder's punch landed, the ground shattered, and the numerous cracks on the ground extended out like little snakes. Ha ha ha, idiots of ancient Yu clan. This person is a general with such a brain. Looks like I can be the clan master of your ancient Yu clan. The Blood Moon Elder guffawed when he succeeded with one strike. This new body was truly beyond Blood Moon Elder's imagination. Apart from perfect defense, it also had an exceptional perfect strength. Yi Qingtang was surprised by Blood Moon Elder's sudden rebellion. Although she knew that the Blood Moon Elder would definitely wait for an opportunity to attack, his timing was rather unexpected. What Yi Qingtang was more surprised was that this golden-robed man was completely unsuspecting of Elder Enfo. Otherwise, if he had any guard up against Blood Moon Elder, given his skills, Blood Moon Elder would definitely not be able to succeed with one strike. However, it was almost too unrealistic to kill that golden-robed man with just one punch from Blood Moon Elder. Elder Enfo. Suddenly, a bone-curdling cold voice that had a trace of anger sounded from the ground. Boom! Before their naked eyes, the ground exploded, and the golden-robed man emerged from underground. His golden Chinese robe was stained with dust, and there was a glaring trace of blood on the corner of his lips, making him appear rather miserable. Chapter 1146, You Are Thinking Too Much. 1. Even this can't kill you? The Blood Moon Elder looked in disbelief at the golden-robed man with a perplexed expression. The Blood Moon Elder currently had full confidence in the powers of his new body. Although his recent punch was not earth-shattering, it should have no problem crushing a few powerful cultivators. Further, the golden-robed man was caught off guard and received the full force of the blow. However, who would have thought that this golden-robed man could still survive after receiving the full force of this blow? Elder Enfo, you dare to betray the Yu clan? The golden-robed man said sternly to Blood Moon Elder with eyes completely devoid of expression. When he heard the golden-robed man's words, Blood Moon Elder's expression immediately changed. He waved his hand repeatedly. Lord General, you are mistaken. What happened just now was a misunderstanding. My blow was meant to crush that girl into dust. Who knew that Lord General would rush over so swiftly and block my fist? When he heard Blood Moon Elder's nonsense, a cold light glittered in the golden-robed man's eyes. Are you taking me for a fool? No, Lord General. Even if I had the nerve, I would not dare to offend you. I would certainly not dare to betray the ancient Yu clan. If you don't believe me, I can demonstrate again. With that, Blood Moon Elder threw another punch without giving the golden-robed man any chance to react. The golden-robed man would never have imagined that this Elder Enfo would actually throw another punch at him and was caught completely off guard. He was sent flying by the oncoming fist. The Blood Moon Elder's punch was extremely fast and instantly sent the golden-robed man flying. A few hundred meters away, a mountain peak collapsed under the impact of the golden-robed man's body. This time, even Yi Qingtang, who was standing nearby, was completely bewildered, not to speak of the golden-robed man, who had been ambushed twice in rapid succession. Ha 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 ha, I've always said that with your brains, why are you the general? Brat, veterans always have the advantage. You are just too inexperienced. Ha! The Blood Moon Elder burst out laughing. When she saw the Blood Moon Elder's smug look, Yi Qingtang really wanted to go up and slap him. Considering the terrifying strength that Blood Moon Elder's current body possessed, the golden-robed man was completely within his control. He could curb the golden-robed man's movements, and together with Yi Qingtang's destructive black flame, the two of them working in tandem could certainly kill the golden-robed man on the spot. However, the Blood Moon Elder had missed two wonderful opportunities. Such great opportunities to kill the golden-robed old man, but the Blood Moon Elder had only given him 2 punches. Ha 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 ha. Having succeeded twice, the Blood Moon Elder laughed loudly and turned to Yi Qingtang, his face filled with pride. In a smug tone, he loudly said, Holy Lady, I think we have overestimated the general of the ancient Yu clan. When she heard the Blood Moon Elder's words, Yi Qingtang could not help but rub her forehead. She wanted to say something but was interrupted by Blood Moon Elder. Holy Lady, we don't need to flee. If we work together, we can kill this general. No, in fact, we don't need to work together. I myself can kill him. When Yu Qingtang looked at the smug Blood Moon Elder, she could not summon up even half a smile. The situation was not as simple as the Blood Moon Elder had assumed. If the Blood Moon Elder's new body was also in the Heavenly Venerate realm, then perhaps he could really do as he said. If his body possessed the same power as a Heavenly Venerate, he could just use the brute strength of his powerful body and bludgeon the golden-robed man to death. Unfortunately, Yu Qingtang had yet to detect a Heavenly Venerate's power in the Blood Moon Elder's body. They could only depend on this Bodhi's brute strength to crush the golden-robed man to death if they captured him. But Blood Moon Elder had already missed the opportunity to capture the golden-robed man. As long as the golden-robed man was not an idiot, he would certainly not give Blood Moon Elder another chance. Thud! The mountain peak ahead suddenly exploded, and an afterimage of golden light flashed across the void. The golden-robed old man was floating in mid-air, looking at Blood Moon Elder sinisterly. Elder Enfo, you have indeed betrayed the Yu clan. Do you know what happens to those who betray the Yu clan? The golden-robed man glared at Blood Moon Elder and said coldly. Ha ha ha. When he heard the golden-robed old man's words, Blood Moon Elder laughed coldly. He said arrogantly, since when have I betrayed the Yu clan? It's just that I can't stand the sight of you. I feel that I am much more powerful than you. You should give your position as general of the ancient Yu clan to me instead. How about this, I'll kill you today and take your place as general of the ancient Yu clan. What do you think? When he heard Blood Moon Elder's words, the golden-robed man's expression became rather puzzled. At first, the golden-robed man had felt that it did not make sense for Elder Enfo to suddenly betray him. Logically, it was improbable that Elder Enfo would betray the ancient Yu clan, and he had no reason to become a traitor. But, the golden-robed man felt it was more likely that Elder Enfo was merely ambitious and wanted to become the general because he disliked him. So you are competing with me for the generalship? The golden-robed man laughed coldly. Why, am I not powerful enough to take your place as general? I think there should be no problem. Are your fists as big as mine? Blood Moon Elder waved his right arm, and an iron-hard fist, as big as a small mountain, waved in front of the golden-robed man. Swoosh! Without any warning, the Blood Moon Elder suddenly grabbed at the golden-robed man. However, the golden-robed man was prepared. His body flickered, and he immediately dodged. The golden-robed man was aware of the terrifying strength that Elder Enfo's body possessed. Even he would suffer disastrous consequences if Elder Enfo caught him in his hands. Elder Enfo, you have a death wish. The golden-robed man dodged Blood Moon Elder's blow and stood proudly in the void. Ha 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 ha, little one, we are in different realms. Also, my body is much more powerful than yours. On what basis do you oppose me? The Blood Moon Elder laughed loudly and uncontrollably. When he heard the Blood Moon Elder's words, the golden-robed man said blandly, in this mainland, all realms are the same, however, the ultimate source of strength in one's body can be of different qualities. As the golden-robed man finished speaking, a wild wind started to blow within the void. Ripples started to appear, accompanied by the suffocating power of a Heavenly Venerate. When he felt the force of a Heavenly Venerate, the Blood Moon Elder's expression immediately changed. It was as if his body was being crushed by the heavenly mountain that had fallen from the ninth heaven. Boom! The earth under Blood Moon Elder's feet instantly shattered, and his upright body was forced to bend under the oppressive power of a Heavenly Venerate. At that moment, the Blood Moon Elder looked frightened. The power of his new body was unable to withstand the oppressive force of the golden-robed man's aura. Do you still want to be general? The golden-robed man stood in the void. His bland gaze fell on the Blood Moon Elder, and he spoke coldly. However, before the Blood Moon Elder could speak, Yu Qingtang drew her sword. The crimson sword glow seemed to pierce the horizon as it slashed straight at the golden-robed man. Although the golden-robed man was powerful, the strength of his body could not be compared with that of the Blood Moon Elder. When Yi Qingtang's sword struck the Blood Moon Elder's body, it had no effect. But if it struck the golden-robed man's body, even with the protection of his heavenly venerate powers, he would probably be uncomfortable. Swoosh! An ear-splitting noise rang out, and in the next instant, the golden-robed man transformed into a shadow and vanished. Boom! The crimson sword glow struck by Yi Qingtang extended for a distance of 10 meters, and its aftershock completely destroyed a mountain peak. A meaningless struggle. The golden-robed man's figure appeared again. His inky black hair blew in the wind. He looked down on Yi Qingtang like a supreme master. Kneel. The golden-robed man's heavenly venerate power rushed forth again and crushed Yi Qingtang. Boom! At that moment, Yi Qingtang was trying to withstand enormous pressure. Her body felt as if it weighed a ton, and it instantly crushed the ground under her feet. At that moment, a black mist shrouded Yi Qingtang's body, and the power of the heavenly demon devouring bloodline rushed forth. It frantically devoured the golden-robed man's heavenly venerate power. A pity that Yi Qingtang's heavenly demon devouring bloodline was not of sufficiently high level, or it could instantly and completely devour the golden-robed man's ultimate source of strength and convert it for her own use. Oh! When the golden-robed man saw the black mist that surfaced around Yi Qingtang's body, he could not help but frown. Heavenly demon bloodline. Are you a member of the Jiang family? The power of the heavenly demon bloodline was unique to the family of Central Mainland's domain monarch. Only members of the Jiang family had the heavenly demon bloodline. When he recognized the heavenly demon bloodline in Yi Qingtang's body, the golden-robed man assumed that she was a member of the Jiang family. When she heard that, Yi Qingtang rolled her eyes. It looked as if the golden-robed man of the ancient Yu clan had assumed she was part of the Central Mainland domain monarch's family after seeing that she possessed the heavenly demon's bloodline. Yi Qingtang did not correct his mistake but laughed coldly and said, "Since you know I am part of Central Mainland's domain monarch's family, how dare you act so impetuously?" When he heard that, the golden-robed man said expressionlessly, "The ancient Yu clan has never had anything to do with the Jiang family. It was you who was too impolite. Even the domain monarch himself might not dare to act like that. Since you have violated the terms of peace between the two tribes, I will kill you and send your head to the domain monarch." Before Yi Qingtang could continue speaking, the golden-robed man's expression suddenly changed, and he swiftly hid himself somewhere in the distance. Thud! The place where the golden-robed man was standing suddenly contracted. At the peak of its contraction, it violently exploded. If the golden-robed man had fled a little slower, he would have been crushed by the force of the distorted space. "Who is it? Since you are here, why not show yourself?" The golden-robed man spoke coldly with a stern expression. Just as the golden-robed man finished speaking, a white-robed old man suddenly appeared in the void. Space technique. The golden-robed man frowned deeply as he looked at the old man standing casually nearby. Space technique. The golden-robed man frowned deeply as he looked at the old man standing casually nearby. The space technique was one of the most powerful and mysterious forces. Legend had it that when cultivated to the highest level, the space technique allowed one to manipulate space at will. Within the span of a single breath, one could traverse a distance of 10,000 miles. The ultimate elder, Blood Moon Elder, shuddered when he saw the new arrival. This white-haired old man dressed in white robes was certainly the ultimate elder, that old pervert. His power is comparable to that of the Holy Lord, he may even be more powerful than the Holy Lord in some aspects. Blood Moon Elder looked at the ultimate elder in shock. Although the Blood Moon Holy Lord was the spiritual incarnation of the Heavenly Emperor, the power of the Blood Moon Holy Lord could be said to be unrivaled in this mainland. But this ultimate elder had been fighting the Blood Moon Holy Lord for years, from which one could deduce how powerful he was. "Hey, little girl, haven't I seen you somewhere before?" The ultimate elder's gaze suddenly fell on Yi Qingtang. "You haven't just seen me before. Once, you used a force seal and frightened my 1,000-league horse until it stiffened up and couldn't move. The corners of Yi Qingtang's mouth twitched. The Ultimate Elder was one of the 3 legendary powerful cultivators in this mainland. Besides him, there was the Pagoda Sword Master, who had left this mainland long ago, and the Blood Moon Holy Lord. But this Ultimate Elder could be said to be devoted to the Blood Moon Holy Lord. For many years, he had hunted him without giving up. Oh, is that so? When he heard that, Ultimate Elder propped his chin on his hands and thought for a while. Then he suddenly slapped his thigh. That's right, I remember now. I was hunting the Blood Moon Holy Lord at that time. The moment he mentioned the Blood Moon Holy Lord, Yi Qingtang felt her head ache. So it was that younger brother she had picked up along the way that had turned into an invincible slayer. This Ultimate Elder was certainly very clear about things related to the Blood Moon Holy Lord. When the golden-robed man saw the Ultimate Elder chatting with Yi Qingtang as if no one else existed, he felt neglected. His expression darkened, and he glared at the Ultimate Elder and said, "Lord, are you overlooking something?" When the Ultimate Elder heard that, he turned and studied the golden-robed man. "You are the invader of Central Mainland?" Although Ultimate Elder came and went as he pleased, he had noticed that Central Mainland had been invaded. "You can interpret it that way if you like," said the golden-robed man. "Did you ask my permission before entering this mainland?" asked the Ultimate Elder. "We of the ancient Yu clan do not have the habit of consulting dead people." The golden-robed man laughed coldly. Before the Ultimate Elder could continue speaking, the power of a heavenly venerate rushed forth. It swiftly sealed the area and pressed down towards the Ultimate Elder. When he saw that, a cold light shone in Ultimate Elder's eyes. He raised his right hand and pointed at the void in front of him. The next second, they could see that the surrounding space rapidly twisted, as if heaven and earth were exchanging places. The golden-robed man's heavenly venerate powers were largely absorbed by the twisted space. Ah! I didn't expect this mainland to have a powerful cultivator who understands the space technique. Not bad. The golden-robed man looked at the Ultimate Elder, and his lips curved upwards. This is interesting. Otherwise, this excursion to exterminate this mainland would be too boring. Enough nonsense. Let's fight to the death. Ultimate Elder etched out a symbol with his hand, and the twisted space started to press towards golden-robed man. A strange lotus-shaped demonic flame suddenly surfaced around the golden-robed man and burned the surrounding space. Extraordinary flame. When he saw that, the Ultimate Elder frowned slightly. Before the Ultimate Elder had time to think, the golden-robed man had already escaped the twisted space. He pointed at the Ultimate Elder. When he saw that, the Ultimate Elder grunted coldly and also reached out with his finger. When the 2 fingers met, an earth-shattering explosion rang out. As she watched the fight between the Ultimate Elder and the golden-robed man, Yi Qingtang swiftly concluded that the Ultimate Elder and golden-robed man were both powerful cultivators at the same level. Like the golden-robed man, the Ultimate Elder possessed the power of a heavenly venerate. Apart from that, he had also cultivated the extremely mysterious space technique. This Ultimate Elder had lived for many years in this mainland. If not for the lack of spirit energy in this mainland, he would have already become a powerful cultivator in the realm of a holy venerate. It was already a miracle that he had forcibly cultivated the power of a holy venerate while in the realm of Yin-Yang perfected Lord. At that moment, Yi Qingtang could see that the Ultimate Elder was not losing to the golden-robed man. As he raised his hands, space ripped and poured out wildly like rain, forcing the golden-robed man to retreat. Not bad. Carry on. A burning luster surfaced in the golden-robed man's eyes. He laughed wildly as his entire person immediately shot skywards. Chaotic fury. At that instant, an extraordinary flame in the shape of a lotus flower surfaced around the golden-robed man. He pointed at the sky and laughed coldly. As the golden-robed man spoke, endless flames rapidly fell from the void above. Devour space. When he saw that, the Ultimate Elder right hand forcefully grabbed at the void. The next second, the space within a radius of 100 meters was torn, and black holes appeared. All the flames were absorbed into them. Space return. The Ultimate Elder's finger dabbed lightly in front of him, and the lotus-shaped extraordinary flame that had been absorbed by the twisted space now rushed towards the golden-robed man. Good, 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 this is interesting. The golden-robed man's lips arched upwards. The lotus-shaped extraordinary flames that had surfaced around him absorbed the extraordinary flames that were heading for him in all directions. You are truly powerful. If you were not limited by the spirit energy in this realm, you would probably be powerful enough to fight me. A pity that you will die here today. The golden-robed man laughed coldly. Swoosh. Before the Ultimate Elder could speak, Yi Qingtang flicked numerous crimson flames towards him. In the void, the crimson flames soon transformed into the color of black ink. You think too highly of yourself. When he saw that, a trace of disdain surfaced in the golden-robed man's eyes. Compared to his lotus-shaped extraordinary flame, the power of all flames were futile. The golden-robed man waved his right arm, and a tongue of lotus-shaped extraordinary flame rushed forth. But to the shock of the golden-robed man, the black flames instantly devoured his lotus-shaped extraordinary flame. Boom, boom. There was a loud crash as the black flames that were filled with the aura of extermination exploded. The golden-robed man was too close and was caught off guard. The aftershock of the black flames' explosion forced him to retreat by dozens of meters. Extraordinary flame. The golden-robed man looked at Yi Qingtang in some surprise. The golden-robed man had assumed that the black flames Yi Qingtang displayed were merely ordinary fire elemental cultivation techniques. He had not imagined that they were actually extraordinary flames. What kind of extraordinary flame is this? The golden-robed man frowned with a rather puzzled expression. In this world, there were a total of 3,000 types of extraordinary flames. Besides the dozen divine extraordinary flames that, according to legends, only the gods possessed, he knew all the other extraordinary flames. But he could not recognize the extraordinary flame that Yi Qingtang displayed. Even Yi Qingtang herself did not know the name of this extraordinary flame, much less the golden-robed man. When Yi Qingtang had understood the ultimate origin skill, this extraordinary flame already existed. Later, when Yi Qingtang inherited the divine phoenix's bloodline, the extraordinary flame in her body had perfectly integrated with the divine phoenix's bloodline. After that, Yi Qingtang had coincidentally obtained the heavenly demon devouring bloodline, and then her extraordinary flame had transformed into a deep black color, and its power had become even more aggressive. To be honest, Yi Qingtang's extraordinary flame could not be considered as an orthodox extraordinary flame but was a mutated extraordinary flame. With the ultimate origin skill as its basis, it integrated with the divine phoenix's bloodline and the heavenly demon bloodline to form an entirely new type of extraordinary flame. Little girl, this extraordinary flame of yours is really something. The Ultimate Elder stared at the black flames that had surfaced around Yi Qingtang as he spoke. How many types of extraordinary flames are you familiar with? Yi Qingtang asked. Oh. I know about burning firewood but not too much about extraordinary flames. The Ultimate Elder thought for a while before replying. This reply rendered Yi Qingtang speechless. She had thought the Ultimate Elder was an expert and wanted to ask him about the reason behind mutated extraordinary flames. You have a death wish. The golden-robed man suddenly bellowed in rage. His entire person transformed into an afterimage, and he swiftly arrived at Yi Qingtang's side. He raised his right hand and struck at her with a terrifying force. You aren't showing me any respect. When he saw what was going on, the Ultimate Elder grunted coldly. He crooked his fingers, and the void next to Yi Qingtang suddenly twisted and swallowed Yi Qingtang up. Boom! With a deafening sound, the golden-robed man's blow missed its mark. Yi Qingtang, who had been right in front of him, suddenly vanished completely. At the same time, the space next to the Ultimate Elder suddenly started to ripple, and Yi Qingtang's figure appeared. Ha ha ha, little girl, isn't this fun? The Ultimate Elder laughed and said to Yi Qingtang. Thank you for your help. Yi Qingtang cupped her fists and thanked the Ultimate Elder. This Ultimate Elder's space technique was truly extraordinary. Even at Yi Qingtang's peak, she had seldom seen the space technique being displayed. However, the Ultimate Elder's space technique had been cultivated to a very high level. He could exchange spaces and move them across a distance of 1,000 miles. It was truly unparalleled. Before the Ultimate Elder could say anything, Yi Qingtang's expression suddenly changed, and she involuntarily looked behind her. Swoosh! Whiz! Many ear-splitting noises could be heard, and a few moments later, more and more after-images surfaced in the void above. 2 middle-aged men arrived in the nearby void. One of them was wearing a long black robe. He looked aged and wrinkled, and his left eye was blind. The other was wearing a long green robe. He was extraordinarily handsome, with waist-length bright red hair. A heavy sword was tied to his back with a white cloth. General Yu Tong. General Yu Ming, you're too late, said the golden-robed man. When he heard that, the green-robed man, who was called Yu Tong, laughed remotely and said, General Eugene, can't you deal with the ants in this inferior mainland yourself? This is the girl who destroyed Sky Stars City and Wind Cloud City, Yu Ming, the other black-robed man, said. His remaining eye fell on Yi Qingtang. Behind the two generals were many powerful cultivators from the ancient Yu clan. Most of them were at the level of Young Lord. This old man is quite powerful, and his skills are comparable to mine. Also, Elder Enfo tried to kill me and seize my generalship. I was attacked from all sides just now, the golden-robed man said laughingly. When he heard that, the green-robed man, Yu Tong, looked at the Ultimate Elder. In an instant, Yu Tong's eyes turned blood-red. His pupils slowly turned as if they contained everything in the universe. With just one look, Ultimate Elder shuddered. Illusion. When she saw what was happening, Yi Qingtang's expression changed. This green-robed man's eyes belonged to some bloodline and were extremely terrifying. He is under my control. However, this old man has great mental strength. General Eugene, I cannot last for long. Go and kill him, said the green-robed man, Yu Tong. When he heard that, the golden-robed man's lips curled slightly upwards. The frightening lotus-shaped extraordinary flame surfaced in his hand, and he threw it at the Ultimate Elder's brow. This is bad, Yi Qingtang immediately used her mutated extraordinary flame. Her entire body was instantly filled with black flames, and she was poised to rescue the Ultimate Elder. However, before Yi Qingtang could act, they heard a swooshing noise. Thousands of sword glints fell like rain from the void. At that moment, there was a surge of sword breath, and sword silhouettes could be seen everywhere. The entire area seemed to turn into a country of swords. The golden-robed man was blasted by the sword glints and forced back by a few dozen steps. A golden sword glint surfaced in the void. The golden-robed man narrowed his eyes when he saw the golden sword glint. The golden sword glint rapidly transformed into an old man in a cotton robe. Humph! When the old man saw the Ultimate Elder, he grunted loudly. The Ultimate Elder immediately opened his eyes. We haven't met for a long time. You're getting weaker. The old man looked at the Ultimate Elder and said coldly. You. When he saw the old man, the Ultimate Elder looked rather surprised. Pagoda Sword Master, when she heard that, Yi Qingtang was also taken aback. Legend had it that this old man was the most powerful cultivator in this mainland, but he had left many years ago. Pagoda Sword Master, legend had it that the Pagoda Sword Master had become renowned when he was young. He had defeated all the powerful cultivators in this mainland. The Ultimate Elder and the Blood Moon Holy Lord had cooperated to fight the Pagoda Sword Master, but they had also lost. of course, the Blood Moon Holy Lord was only the spiritual incarnation of the Heavenly Emperor and not the Heavenly Emperor himself. No matter how powerful the Pagoda Sword Master was, there was probably still a gap between him and an especially strong cultivator like the Heavenly Emperor. Of course, Yi Qingtang did not know how powerful the Pagoda Sword Master currently was. Everyone, please show me some respect and leave this mainland. The Pagoda Sword Master swept a glance at the golden-robed old man and the three generals as he spoke. I'm afraid you don't deserve such respect. The green-robed man, Yu Tong, laughed coldly. We are the ancient Yu clan. We want to exterminate this mainland and take away something that belongs to our clan. But how about this, if you are willing to join the ancient Yu clan, we will let you live, the golden-robed man said. In that case, more words are futile. Let us fight. As the Pagoda Sword Master spoke, two frightening beams of sword breath burst forth from his eyes and swept towards the group from the ancient Yu clan. Chapter 1153, Pagoda Sword Master, 2. At this instant, the Yu ancient clan people attacked immediately and formed several prints with their palms. Subsequently, an almost substantive screen appeared in the air and trapped everyone in it. The sword aura that shot out from Pagoda Sword Master's eyes immediately slashed the screen, and a deafening noise erupted. Humph! Ultimate Elder scoffed loudly, and he leaned forward, twisting the surrounding space. The sword shadow that Pagoda Sword Master slashed out entered the twisted space, and the next time the sword shadow appeared, it was already thrust into the screen by the twisted space. Puff! Several Yu ancient clan disciples had their necks slit by the Pagoda Sword Master's sword shadow and died at the scene. Almost instantly, the three generals of Yu ancient clan leaped toward Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master, causing an overpowering aura to fill the air. In just the blink of an eye, both sides were locked in a battle. Seeing that the battle was increasing in violence, the Blood Moon Elder quietly walked to Yi Qingtang's side and whispered softly. Holy Lady. Let's run first. They originally thought that they would definitely die, but unexpectedly, Ultimate Elder and even Pagoda Sword Master, who had disappeared from this mainland for a long time, rushed over. Now that Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master were engaged in a tight battle, it was a good chance for them to flee. However, it was as though Yi Qingtang did not hear Blood Moon Elder's suggestion, and her attention was completely focused on the battlefield. It was not that Yi Qingtang did not wish to take this chance to escape, but she discovered that as the battle intensified, the spirit energy on this mainland expanded immediately, and this mainland was about to burst from the spirit energy that they discharged. Regardless of Ultimate Elder, Pagoda Sword Master, or those powerful figures from Yu ancient clan, their skills had already exceeded the limit of this mainland, and this excess may not be completely leveled even if their skills were suppressed. In this intense battle, the powerful figures executed their skills brazenly. The dangerous amount of force that exceeded the spirit energy of this mainland was a constant assault to this mainland's tolerance of spirit energy. Uneasiness crept into Yi Qingtang's heart. The martial culture of this mainland had always been low, and there were few powerful figures such as Ultimate Elder, Pagoda Sword Master, and Blood Moon Holy Lord, thus, their appearance would not have much influence on this mainland. However, if the number of such powerful figures suddenly inflated in the same area, and these powerful figures unleashed their powers at the same time, how could this mainland be able to withstand this bout-like assault? By then, this mainland would explode due to the inability to withstand so much force. Yi Qingtang frowned inadvertently at that thought. If it was really as she guessed, everyone on this mainland would die regardless of the Yu ancient clan's attack. At this instant, more and more Yu ancient clan figures rushed over from all sides. The Ultimate Elder and the Pagoda Sword Master were facing three Yu ancient clan generals. Although they were not at a disadvantage yet, the arrival of more Yu ancient clan figures eventually saw the strain of even Pagoda Sword Master, the man known as the most powerful figure of this mainland. Chapter 1154, Pagoda Sword Master, 3, It May Not Be So. The Ultimate Elder suddenly looked up and gazed afar. Almost at the same time when Ultimate Elder looked over, a wave seemed to appear in the air. In just the blink of an eye, numerous black shadows appeared from that wave. Those black shadows transformed into bolts of light and descended from the sky unannounced. The masses from the three mighty forces, Phantom Valley, Peerless School, and Biming Manor, suddenly appeared in everyone's sight. Greetings, Ultimate Elder. Three tall figures stood out from the three mighty forces. The masters of Phantom Valley, Peerless School, and Biming Manor immediately walked forward and greeted Ultimate Elder with a bow and cupped fists upon seeing him. Micham. Ultimate Elder waved a hand briefly in response. Ultimate Elder was a legendary powerful figure on this mainland, and even the three mighty forces were extremely respectful toward him. Yi Qing Tang had a look of understanding when she saw the arrival of the three mighty forces. Currently, the invasion of the central mainland powerful figures into this mainland was a pressing crisis, and the Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Biming Manor would not sit around and do nothing. The three mighty forces must be aware of the current situation and the Yu Ancient Clan's intentions. If they did not stop the Yu Ancient Clan's massacre, the three mighty forces would also ultimately vanish along with everyone on this mainland. They were not fools. No egg was left intact when the nest was doomed. Regardless of their dynamics previously, they could only join forces now. Senior Ultimate Elder. This is, Biming Manor Chief looked at Pagoda Sword Master and asked curiously. Pagoda Sword Master, replied Ultimate Elder. Pagoda Sword Master. Their expressions changed when they heard this name. The Pagoda Sword Master had left this mainland a long time ago, and barely anyone knew what he looked like. The power holders of the three mighty forces had never seen the Pagoda Sword Master before either. Although they had not met the Pagoda Sword Master before, he was extremely esteemed and renowned. Legend has it that the Pagoda Sword Master was the #1 figure of this mainland, and even the Blood Moon Holy Lord back then was defeated by him. They heard that the Pagoda Sword Master had left this mainland a long time ago, yet unexpectedly today, the Pagoda Sword Master actually returned to this mainland when it was facing a crisis. The addition of the three mighty forces resulted in 10+ young lords on the Pagoda Sword Master's side. Yet despite this situation, Yi Qing Tang was not seen to be relieved at all, and she looked at the frowning Ultimate Elder. As expected, the Ultimate Elder had a somber expression as he looked at the Yu Ancient Clan masses. Even with additional support, the Ultimate Elder was still distressed. While the three mighty forces joined in, the Yu Ancient Clan was much more powerful than he expected, and it was probably tough to contend against them even if the full force of the three mighty forces participated. If the hidden ancient clan of this mainland could join them, perhaps there was a tiny hope in this battle. Ha, aren't you all being delusional for wanting to protect this mainland with just a few of you? The golden-robed elderly of the Yu Ancient Clan snickered. Chapter 1155, The Spirit Energy Crisis, 1. As the golden-robed man had said, it was basically unrealistic to resist the Yu Ancient Clan even with 10 more young lords. Swoosh! At this instant, many figures flashed across the sky. Ultimate Elder finally sighed in relief at the sight. Finally here. Several figures loomed from the sky and entered everyone's vision. After the elderly in the lead landed on the ground, he immediately looked at Ultimate Elder and spoke. Ultimate Elder, it's been long. Looking at those people who arrived suddenly, Yi Qing Tang realized that there were many young lords who came with the elderly, and the clothes that they were wearing were embroidered with a foreign and aged totem. A guess struck Yi Qing Tang almost instinctively. Yi Qing Tang seemed to have seen that totem in an ancient book in her previous life before. It was just that the ancient book only had a few fragments left when Yi Qing Tang obtained it, and this totem appeared in the remaining excerpts. Although there was no detailed description of the origin of this totem, it vaguely mentioned that this totem seemed to be related to the ancient clan of this mainland. Although this mainland's martial culture was backward, it still had a long history, and there were many hidden ancient clans. Apart from the obscure ancient clan that attacked Falling Sky Valley, there were other ancient clans living in between the mountains and clouds. Similarly, both the ancient Yu clan and the domain monarch's Jiang clan in central mainland were classified as ancient clans. The totem seen on the group of people who came suddenly led Yu Qingtang to guess that they could be an ancient clan that had been concealed from the world for a long time, though she could not be certain. However, looking at how that elderly in the lead and ultimate elder were talking, they seemed to know each other. The golden-robed man from Yu ancient clan stared at those ancient clan figures who rushed over fearlessly, and a sneer hung on his lips. You think too highly of yourselves. In reality, given the backward martial culture of this mainland, the obscure ancient clans of this mainland were no match for those of the central mainland even if they showed up. However, to a certain extent, if the obscure ancient clans of this mainland were willing to join the war, they could still resist the ancient Yu clan for a period of time even if they were unable to defeat the ancient Yu clan. After all, this mainland's suppression of skills could slightly restrain the ancient Yu clan's skills. Had there not been such suppression, the ancient Yu clan would probably have destroyed this mainland a long time ago. Yu Qingtang was even more somber when she saw the golden-robed man's arrogant attitude. If there were powerful figures at Yin Yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven like Divine King Luo Shui, the calamity of this mainland could be easily prevented. Nonetheless, the Yin Yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven figure from the obscure ancient clan that attacked Falling Sky Valley had been killed by Divine King Luo Shui, and Divine King Luo Shui, himself, was dead too. This mainland most likely had no other figures at Yang Lord 10th Heaven. As the mainland's catastrophe approached, an increasing number of itinerant cultivators rushed over to the battlefield. It was just that this mainland's spirit energy was too thin, and only a handful number of itinerant cultivators were powerful figures as almost all the true powerful figures were in ancient clans. For example, one of the powerful figures from the ancient clan killed by Divine King Luo Shui was in the Yang Lord 10th Heaven realm, and he was considered an ancient figure. Apart from him, almost no one from the remaining obscure ancient clans lived over 10,000 years. These obscure ancient clans and Divine King Luo Shui did not live in the same generation. While they were obscure ancient clans, they were the descendants of those ancient figures from 10,000 years ago. In terms of skills, it was impossible for them to be compared to that Yang Lord 10th Heaven person whom Divine King Luo Shui killed. Endless explosions could be heard at this instant. The Pagoda Sword Master's side and the Yu ancient clan's side were locked in a battle. Immensely horrifying martial auras crashed into one another, and remarkable skills were executed. One could hardly distinguish the situation with the naked eye. Holy Lady, are we going to join the battle? The Blood Moon Elder was standing beside Yu Qingtang currently. The two of them had long been ignored as though they did not exist. Ardor and zeal coursed through the Blood Moon Elder's blood as he watched the great match. His eyes were burning while his unrivaled body could not hold back any longer, and he wanted to show off his skills. By then, he would definitely become the center of attention. Yu Qingtang frowned deeply and shook her head. We are not joining the battle. The Blood Moon Elder was slightly surprised and did not know Yu Qingtang's intention. The Pagoda Sword Master and Ultimate Elder's side fell behind in terms of numbers and skills when fighting against the ancient Yu clan. Once Yu Qingtang and he, two top Yang lords, participated, there would be an evident improvement in the situation. However, Yu Qingtang did not say anything and inspected the sky instead. The spirit energy of this mainland was expanded increasingly as the battle intensified. If it expanded to the limit, there would only be one possibility: this mainland would no longer be able to bear this pressure. The pressure of the spirit energy from the outer world would completely crush this mainland. By then, everyone did not need to continue fighting as everyone would die. Look at the spirit energy of this mainland. Yu Qingtang told the Blood Moon Elder. Spirit energy? Confusion was etched the Blood Moon Elder's face as he did not know what Yu Qingtang meant. He looked up instinctively. His expression changed drastically a moment later, and horror filled his wide eyes. This. The Blood Moon Elder trembled slightly. The spirit energy of this mainland is compressed rapidly and inflating outward, that's right. Yi Qingtang nodded her head. If this goes on, this mainland will definitely be unable to bear the pressure of the spirit energy, and explode. The Blood Moon Elder was astonished. Once this mainland could not bear the pressure of the spirit energy and exploded, no one dreams shall of leaving this place alive. The people of this mainland and the ancient Yu clan members would all die here. Blood Moon Elder naturally knew the reason behind the compression and expansion of the spirit energy. The spirit energy in this mainland was thin from the start, and this mainland was classified as a low-level mainland. Normally speaking, it could only withstand the aura of an ordinary young lord. However, with ancient Yu clan, Pagoda Sword Master, and those powerful ancient clans gathered at one place currently, all their forces, including the Pagoda Sword Master's Sword Dao willpower, had greatly surpassed the power that a yin-yang perfected Lord Realm could control, and even more so, the limit that this mainland could withstand. Now that all the excess force that this mainland could withstand exploded in one area, this was simply suicidal. Chapter 1157, The Spirit Energy Crisis, 3. Just the thought of this gave the Blood Moon Elder goosebumps all over. He hollered immediately. Stop fighting, everyone. The voice of Blood Moon Elder's new body was shocking, and his shout was like a thunderous roar that pierced everyone's eardrums. As expected, both parties looked at the Blood Moon Elder after the shout. Noticing that everyone finally stopped fighting, the Blood Moon Elder hurriedly pointed to the sky. Look for yourselves. Everyone looked up, and what lay before them stunned them utterly. The clouds in the sky above them seemed to be burnt as a result of the maximum compression and outward expansion of spirit energy. Burnt clouds, Ultimate Elder was astonished. The Ultimate Elder and the Pagoda Sword Master were high-level figures and knew what was going on roughly after a slight inspection. If they continued the fight with Yu Ancient Clan, the spirit energy would be expanded to the maximum in no time, and the massive pressure released was sufficient to destroy this mainland. Given the scale of the explosion produced by the spirit energy, this mainland would completely disappear from the Earth's surface in at most 3 to 5 breaths' time. Moreover, in this extremely short span of time, even a holy venerate level figure who came here might not be able to escape this place alive. Similarly, people from the Yu Ancient Clan noticed the unusual phenomenon in the sky. Everyone, stop! The green-robed Yu Tong, one of the 3 generals of Ancient Yu Clan, shouted with a deep frown. Their martial skills had exceeded the limit that this low-level mainland could bear, and if they continued to fight, they would be unable to obtain the spiritual abode or even leave this place alive. Both parties did not dare to make a move recklessly. The main force of both parties had ordered to stop the fight, and the burnt clouds in the sky caused uneasiness. No one dared to take any rash and unconsidered actions. Everyone, you all have seen the situation. Pagoda Sword Master looked at the 3 generals of the ancient Yu clan and said. Their powers had already exceeded the limit that this mainland could bear, and they were even gathered together. The originally perilous spirit energy of this mainland could no longer withstand the powers unleashed in the intense mass battle. If they continued the battle, the spirit energy of this mainland and, subsequently, the entire mainland would explode ultimately. All of them would die here. A one-eyed elderly of Yu Ancient Clan coldly said, "It is simple. Since we can't battle in the same place, we can split up the battlefield." Their objective for coming to this mainland was to obtain Yu Yun's spiritual abode and would definitely not put an end to their plan. On the other hand, the powerful figures of this mainland, with Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master in the lead, would not sit idly and wait for death. This war was unavoidable yet also could not continue in this way. Otherwise, both sides would be over. The only strategy now was to disperse the powers of the masses to prevent the suicidal act of an aggressive battle at one spot. The other 2 generals' eyes brightened at that suggestion. As long as the battlefield was spread out, the pressure from the war would naturally be dispersed. By then, such a circumstance would not happen. Yu Yun's spiritual abode must be obtained and had to be brought back to Yu ancient clan's headquarters no matter what. This was the do-or-die order given by the senior executives of the headquarters. Just as you wish, the pagoda sword master said as he swiftly swept a gaze across the three generals. Under the circumstances, it was unrealistic to expect the ancient Yu clan to abandon their invasion and choose to leave, so they had no choice but to fight on. However, they were unable to gather in one spot, so they were forced to split up the battlefield. In the end, the land was divided into 3 zones. The eastern part of the mainland became the eastern battlefield, the northern part became the northern battlefield, the southern part became the southern battlefield. The ultimate elder assumed command of the eastern battlefield, the pagoda sword master of the northern battlefield, while the powerful cultivators of the ancient clan held the southern battlefield. Go! Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder and said. The 3 main battlefields had been formed, and there would be no fighting here. Yi Qingtang wanted to leave before the ancient Yu clan noticed herself and the Blood Moon Elder. Although Blood Moon Elder had not yet been exposed, if he remained in the ancient Yu clan, he would die. He had no choice but to leave with Yi Qingtang. When he heard that, the Blood Moon Elder nodded. He threw Yi Qingtang onto his left shoulder and stepped out. He instantly vanished on the spot. The formation of the 3 main battlefields was not good news for the ultimate elder or pagoda sword master. Splitting the battlefield was equivalent to dividing their manpower and strength. The ancient Yu clan had no problem dividing their manpower and strength. The ancient Yu clan had many more powerful cultivators than this mainland. The more the powerful cultivators from this mainland were split up, the better it was for the clan. After half a day, the Blood Moon Elder's huge body suddenly appeared in the falling sky valley of the 9 Knights dynasty. Blood Moon Elder's appearance caused an uproar in the entire 9 Knights dynasty. They only relaxed when they finally realized that the Blood Moon Elder was a friend and not an enemy. When he saw that Yi Qingtang had returned, little Luo Shui ran out of the valley. He hugged Yi Qingtang's ankles and batted his eyelids at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang smiled when she saw little Luo Shui running towards her on his short legs. She picked him up and hugged him. While he was in her embrace, little Luo Shui suddenly spotted the little white tiger in Yi Qingtang's arms. It was as if he had discovered a new world. His small white hand immediately caught hold of the little white tiger's ears. If you were not so small. The little white tiger glared at little Luo Shui. Has little Luo Shui been good? Yi Qingtang put down Luo Shui and laughed softly. When he heard that, little Luo Shui held on to the little white tiger's ear while nodding at Yi Qingtang. Before long, perfected Xianchen, the Yi family and the Si family all came out of the valley. Everyone was shocked to see the Blood Moon Elder's huge body. Yi Qingtang had no choice but to explain the circumstances to them. After hearing Yi Qingtang's explanation, everyone relaxed. Many Falling Sky Valley disciples surrounded the Blood Moon Elder and stared at him, as if studying his expression. Qingtang, what's going on? Perfected Xianchen looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. Yi Qingtang did not hide anything and explained all that had happened to them. Perfected Xianchen was very shocked to learn about the division of the battlefield. The 9 Knights dynasty was south of the mainland and was considered to be in the southern zone. Based on the division of the mainland's battlefield, it would be under the command of the ancient clan. Qingtang, are these powerful cultivators from the ancient clan the same as the ancient clan that came to our Falling Sky Valley previously? Perfected Xianchen looked at Yi Qingtang with a somewhat worried expression. Master, there is more than one ancient clan between the mountains and the clouds. The ancient clan controlling the southern war zone is not the same as the clan that came to Falling Sky Valley previously, said Yi Qingtang. The ancient clan that came to the Falling Sky Valley previously was the most powerful ancient clan in this mainland and had members who were 10th Heaven Yang Lords. However, in the Battle of the Falling Sky Valley, most of the powerful cultivators of that ancient clan had been killed by Divine King Luo Shui, so they were greatly weakened. However, the ancient clan holding the southern zone was an ancient clan hidden between the mountains and clouds and was different from the other ancient clan. Perfected Xianqin relaxed after hearing Yi Qingtang's explanation. At that moment, the Yi family members all sighed. The mainland's battlefield was divided into 3 zones. They were cultivators in the southern battlefield but were too weak to fight the ancient Yu clan. Although they were cultivators of this mainland, they had no way of protecting their homeland once it was invaded. They were not even worthy of entering the battlefield. Even Yi Qingtang was somewhat worried. Even without dividing up the powerful cultivators of this mainland, the Pagoda Sword Master, the Ultimate Elder, and the Master of the Ancient Clan could hold their own against the 3 generals. The extremely powerful cultivators at the same level as the generals were about equal in numbers. But below the rank of general, their numbers differed vastly. The vast difference in numbers meant that this mainland would die slowly. The Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master, and even the Master of the Ancient Clan, knew this, but they had no other recourse. If things carried on like that, before long, the 3 battlefields would slowly be lost. Eldest young lady, what should we do? Daoist Zijin looked at Yi Qingtang and asked worriedly. Besides the powerful cultivators from the hidden ancient clan and the ancient Yu clan, cultivators at the level of Daoist Zijin would normally be considered the most powerful cultivators in this mainland, second only to the 3 main forces. But with the changes that occurred in this mainland, the ancient Yu clan's invasion, the Pagoda Sword Master's return, the Ultimate Elder's appearance, the hidden ancient clan resurfacing, their status was reduced to nothing. They were not even worthy of being used as cannon fodder. Yi Qingtang frowned slightly and did not hurry to answer. Based on Yi Qingtang and the Blood Moon Elder's power, they could be considered the most powerful cultivators in this mainland. However, they were unable to change the tide of battle. The ancient Yu clan was just too powerful and too numerous. Also, there was still the powerful commander-in-chief who had not yet made an appearance. In the long run, how long could this mainland last? A few days? A few months? Or even half a year? No matter how long it lasted, the conclusion was inevitable. This heralded the end of this mainland's hopes. Yi Qingtang took a deep breath. Although she felt helpless to change the situation, at that moment, her gaze swept across everyone in the Falling Sky Valley, and she spoke decisively. I will protect all of you, until the last possible moment. In her previous life, she had no cares or worries. She had left this mainland early without knowing what kind of crisis it experienced in the end. Today, the people she cared about the most were all in this mainland. Her relatives, her master, even though there was no hope, she would guard them all to the very end. When they heard that, everyone quavered. Although Yi Qingtang had not spoken loudly, each one of her decisive words reached their ears. It was just a simple sentence, but under the circumstances, this promise was worth its weight in gold. Qingtang, come with me. Perfected Xianqin looked at Yi Qingtang and spoke suddenly. Yi Qingtang immediately handed little Luo Shui over to her father, Yi Ling, and followed Perfected Xianqin. Yi Qingtang and Perfected Xianqin soon came to a desolate place. Qingtang, I have discovered something. Perfected Xianqin checked to ensure that there was no one about before speaking. Yi Qingtang was taken aback when she saw Perfected Zuanqin's expression. She did not know what had happened to cause Perfected Xianqin to act so mysteriously. Master, may I ask what has happened? Yi Qingtang vaguely sensed that Perfected Xianqin had something important to tell her. Perfected Xianqin pondered for a moment before saying, Qingtang, I suppose you know about little Yuyun's background? Although she did not know why Perfected Xianqin had suddenly mentioned little Yuyun, Yi Qingtang was naturally aware of her background. Little Yu Yun was created from the power of the extraordinary lattice spiritual abode. The source of her power was the spiritual abode. Of course, this was merely Yi Qingtang's guess. But no matter what, little Yu Yun had some close connection with the extraordinary lady. Yi Qingtang even suspected that little Yu Yun was the extraordinary lattice reincarnation. Qingtang, I'll just speak bluntly, you may not believe me, because even I find it hard to believe it myself. Perfected Xianqin looked at Yi Qingtang mysteriously. When she saw the serious perfected Xianqin looking so mysterious, Yi Qingtang could not help but laugh softly. Master, what's the big secret? Stop being mysterious. Qingtang, yesterday I discovered by chance that, little Yu Yun, can control the spirit energy in this mainland. Perfected Xianqin finally blurted out what he had seen and heard. Yi Qingtang's expression changed when she heard Perfected Xuanqin's words. To be able to control the spirit energy in this mainland, what kind of concept was that? It was akin to being a true god. Master, is that true? Yi Qingtang was somewhat skeptical. Absolutely. Perfected Xianqin nodded repeatedly. Qingtang, you should know that we martial cultivators basically rely on spirit energy. The difference between powerful and weak cultivators is the ability to control and absorb spirit energy. To become a powerful cultivator, one must be situated in a place rich in spirit energy and physically absorb this spirit energy to achieve breakthroughs to the next level. If little Yu Yun can control spirit energy, then she can. As Perfected Xianqin spoke, a trace of shock surfaced in Yi Qingtang's eyes. Of course, Yi Qingtang understood this principle. If little Yu Yun could really control spirit energy, then in some sense, she could create gods. I understand. Yi Qingtang muttered softly to herself. Little Yu Yun and the extraordinary lady had some intimate connection, and this mainland was created from the extraordinary lattice spiritual abode. It made sense that little Yu Yun could control the spirit energy in this mainland. It was as if the extraordinary lady herself was present. A moment later, Yi Qingtang followed Perfected Xianqin to the pavilion. Little Yu Yun was in her room. Little Yu Yun's eyes brightened the moment she saw Yi Qingtang. However, she seemed unwilling to acknowledge Perfected Xianqin and pouted. When he saw that, Perfected Xianqin looked rather embarrassed. Little Yu Yun, are you still angry with grandfather? When Perfected Xianqin saw that little Yu Yun could control spirit energy, he had deliberately asked little Yu Yun to repeatedly perform her actions. In the end, little Yu Yun had grown impatient and refused to respond to Perfected Xianqin. Ha, little Yu Yun, don't be angry. Grandfather has brought you a treat. Perfected Xianqin laughed happily and strode forward. He took out a stick of candy from somewhere. Chapter 1161, Supplying Spirit Energy. 1. Little Yu Yun stared unblinkingly at the candy with her large black eyes. Her little tongue greedily licked her small lips. She waved her small hands, walked over to take the candy from Perfected Xuanqin's hands, and smiled brilliantly. Yi Qingtang was rendered speechless by her master's ease in coaxing children. When he saw that Yi Qingtang's expression looked rather strange, Perfected Xianqin laughed in embarrassment. I once had a daughter, so I have some experience in coaxing children. Her master was certainly multi-talented. Little Yu Yun held the candy that Perfected Xianqin had handed her and licked it with satisfaction. Her little face beamed with a sweet smile. When he saw that little Yu Yun did not seem to be angry anymore, Perfected Xianqin gently coaxed her. Little Yu Yun, can you manipulate the spirit energy once more for grandfather? Little Yu Yun tilted her head to look at Perfected Xianqin. Her large black eyes blinked, then, she glanced at the candy in her hand that was mostly gone. She stuffed the remaining piece in her mouth so that her little cheeks bulged. She clapped her small hands and with her cheeks still bulging, nodded at Perfected Xianqin. Perfected Xianqin could not help but laugh softly at little Yu Yun. He involuntarily rubbed her small head and said gently, "Little Yu Yun is such a good girl. Grandfather will bring her to eat something nice later." When little Yu Yun heard that, her eyes immediately brightened, and she nodded vigorously. Yi Qingtang could not help but giggle at the scene. If she had not seen it with her own eyes, she would not have imagined that the usually dignified perfected Xianqian was so good at coaxing children. It looked like perfected Xianqian was getting along well with little Yu Yun. However, little Yu Yun was just too easy to coax. A stick of candy and she was content. Perfected Xianqian and Yi Qingtang swiftly brought little Yu Yun out of the house. "Go ahead," perfected Xianqian gently patted little Yu Yun's small head. Little Yu Yun batted her eyelids and stepped forward. The next second, little Yu Yun's eyes slowly turned green, and an indescribable aura surged forth from her body. In a split second, the spirit energy in the void sank. An immense amount of spirit energy visibly accumulated in the void above. The density of the spirit energy far exceeded the limit of this mainland. "This is a miracle," perfected Xianqian looked at the spirit energy in the void above. Although he had seen it once, he could not help but exclaim again. When Yi Qingtang saw this amazing scene, a trace of wonder involuntarily surfaced in her eyes. This mainland was created from the extraordinary lattice spiritual abode. In a sense, in this mainland, the extraordinary lady was equivalent to a creator god. It was entirely possible that she possessed a supreme power that allowed her to control the spirit energy. Further, little Yu Yun had some intricate connection with the extraordinary lady. Although her ability to control this mainland's spirit energy was beyond Yi Qingtang's expectations, it was also within reason. When she saw this scene, an idea suddenly surfaced in Yi Qingtang's mind. If little Yu Yun could send spirit energy into a cultivator's body, little Yu Yun heard Yi Qingtang murmur. Little Yu Yun tilted her head and glanced at Yi Qingtang. Her eyes flickered. Then, she looked at perfected Xianqian as if she had suddenly thought of something. Her eyes flashed. In the next second, the extremely dense spirit energy in the void above immediately rushed into Falling Sky Valley. Yi Qingtang and perfected Xianqian were shocked to see the dense spirit energy suddenly rush towards them. But before they understood what was going on, the dense spirit energy that was pouring down swiftly shrouded perfected Xianqian. The spirit energy that enclosed perfected Xianqian suddenly rushed into his body at great speed. Yi Qingtang, who was watching from the side, saw huge amounts of spirit energy rushing into perfected Zuanshan's body. Her eyes widened involuntarily. As huge amounts of spirit energy rushed in, perfected Zuanshan's martial ability increased with unimaginable speed in the span of a few short breaths. Perfected Xianqian looked shocked, and his face was filled with disbelief. "I've broken through, how is that possible?" He had been at the third heaven of Yin Yang perfected Lord for many years. Many years ago, his martial ability had reached a bottleneck. However, within the span of a few short breaths, he had broken through to the fifth heaven of Yin Yang perfected Lord. Before perfected Xianqian could finish speaking, he looked shocked again. "Yin Yang perfected Lord. Sixth heaven, what is this?" In an instant, his ability had increased by another level. Perfected Xianqian was unable to believe what was happening. It was as if he was in a dream. However, his breakthrough in cultivation level was real. As perfected Zuanshan's cultivation level broke through to the Yang Lord realm of Yin Yang perfected Lord's seventh heaven, Yi Qingtang keen senses perceived that perfected Zuanshan's face was starting to turn pale, and his entire body began to shudder violently. "Little Yu Yun, stop for a while." Yi Qingtang flew over to little Yu Yun and spoke hurriedly. Little Yu Yun looked at Yi Qingtang in bewilderment but obediently nodded her head and dispersed the spirit energy that surrounded perfected Xianqian. Just as little Yu Yun dispersed the spirit energy, perfected Xianqian stumbled backward for a few meters before he could finally stand firmly. He was completely ashen and covered with large drops of sweat. "Master, are you all right?" Yi Qingtang looked at perfected Xianchen worriedly. No big deal, just. Perfected Xianchen panted heavily and shook his head. I've reached the limit of my ability to absorb spirit energy. Yi Qingtang only relaxed after hearing perfected Zuanchen's words. It looked like little Yu Yun could indeed control the spirit energy in this mainland. Also, little Yu Yun was entirely capable of sending spirit energy into a cultivator's body, causing their martial ability to improve greatly in a short span of time. Because of Yu Yun's curse, in this mainland, the highest realm that cultivators could reach was Yin Yang Perfected Lord. However, breaking through to the 9th and 10th heaven of Yang Lord had nothing to do with spirit energy. Instead, one had to open an iron door in one's dantian. Hence, little Yu Yun's use of spirit energy was limited to helping a cultivator break through to the peak of the 8th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord. Also, a cultivator's tolerance was limited. Not all cultivators could tolerate the impact of the spirit energy that would bring them to the peak of the 8th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord within a short span of time. A cultivator's body was like a vessel while spirit energy was like water in the vessel. If the rate at which the spirit energy was being supplied could be carefully controlled, then a cultivator could swiftly increase his capabilities within a short span of time. However, once the supply of spirit energy exceeded the limit of what cultivator's body could tolerate, the consequences would be dire. Whether it was a blessing or a curse would depend on whether the spirit energy supplied exceeded what the cultivator could tolerate. For example, after perfected Xianchen broke through to the peak of the 7th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord, his body was unable to tolerate any more spirit energy. That was his limit, but if he was forced to continually absorb spirit energy for further breakthroughs, he would explode and die. Grandfather, when little Yu Yun saw how pale perfected Xianchen was, she thought that she had done something wrong. She pursed her lips, and her eyes were misty with self-reproach. Little Yu Yun is a good girl. Grandfather is fine. Grandfather is so grateful to little Yu Yun. Perfected Zuanchen's eyes were emotional. He had never imagined that he could become a Yang Lord in this lifetime. When she saw little Yu Yun's self-reproachful look, Yi Qingtang could not help but chuckle. She hugged little Yu Yun and spoke to her gently. Little Yu Yun has done very well. Grandfather is fine. Little Yu Yun looked at Yi Qingtang with some bewilderment and then looked at perfected Xianchen before slowly nodding. I really must thank little Yu Yun. I have actually managed to become a Yang Lord. Perfected Xianchen was all smiles. If he had not experienced it himself, he would never have believed that he could have gone from the 3rd heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord to the peak of the 7th heaven of Yin Yang Perfected Lord, to become a Yang Lord within half a minute. It felt like a dream or a fantasy. It was surreal. However, perfected Xianchen swiftly suppressed his emotions and turned to look at Yi Qingtang. Qingtang, since little Yu Yun can control spirit energy and send it into my body, that means that she can do the same, to create Yang Lords. That's right. From a certain perspective, that is certainly true. Yi Qingtang nodded. In that case, in our Falling Sky Valley, including the Yi and Si families, if we all become Yang Lords, no, if everyone in this mainland becomes a Yang Lord, then we will have nothing to fear from the ancient Yu clan of Central Mainland. Perfected Xianchen became more and more agitated when he thought of this possibility. When she saw perfected Zuanchen's agitated look, Yi Qingtang shook her head and said, theoretically that's true, but it is impossible in reality. It is impossible in reality? When he heard Yi Qingtang's words, perfected Xianchen was taken aback. Why? Master, you could break through to the realm of Yang Lord because your martial talents and mental state were sufficient, Yi Qingtang said seriously. Even so, you reached the limit at the peak of the Yin Yang 7th heaven. If you had forced yourself to break through to the 8th heaven, it will be very dangerous, and you might explode. It is the same for everyone else. For an ordinary disciple, their limit would be a Yin Lord like you. If they were forced to break through to the level of Yang Lord, they might be in danger. They cannot become Yang Lords unless they all have a superior martial talent and mental states. Also, ordinary people who have never cultivated before and Khanate level cultivators cannot tolerate too much spirit energy. Although this method was good, it was limited by the cultivators themselves. Perfected Xianqin understood after hearing Yi Qingtang's explanation. An ordinary person who had never cultivated before could not tolerate spirit energy filling their bodies, while those at the Khanate level were not at a sufficiently high level of cultivation. They had not even reached the threshold of martial arts cultivation and could not tolerate too much spirit energy. For them, becoming Yang Lords was a mere fantasy. When he realized that, perfected Xianqin could not help but feel disappointed. Chapter 1164, The Light of Hope, 1. As she watched the joy fade from perfected Zuanshan's face, Yi Qingtang said, "But no matter what, little Yu Yun can still create a batch of powerful cultivators for us." The mainland was currently divided into 3 main battlefields. They already lacked powerful cultivators, but now, the situation was worsened by the division. The ancient Yu clan was different. They had plenty of powerful cultivators, so they were not greatly affected by the division of the battlefield. If little Yu Yun could create more powerful cultivators, they might have a chance. In that case, let us quickly ask the 12 peak masters and Taoist Zijin to receive spirit energy from little Yu Yun. Perfected Xianqin said. But another thought came to his mind, and he felt something was amiss. So, he changed the topic and spoke carefully. Actually, we shouldn't act precipitately. We first have to ascertain their loyalty to this mainland. Otherwise, they might betray this mainland after becoming Yang Lords and join the ancient Yu clan. Then, we would have strengthened the enemy instead. As the ancient Yu clan aggressively swept through the land, there would certainly be some traitors among the major forces. Considering the current circumstances, perfected Xianqin had to be cautious and prepared for the worst. Yi Qingtang had also considered perfected Zuanshan's worries. But how were they to prove something like loyalty at a time like that? One must not doubt one's subordinates. If one doubted them, then they should not be entrusted with anything. Yi Qingtang understood this principle. Master, there presently is no good method of proving the depth of their loyalty to this mainland. But I think that since everyone grew up in this mainland and their relatives and friends are all here, if we should lose the battle, everyone will die. I believe everyone understands this principle. There is hope only in victory. No one will willingly go over to the enemy who has come to destroy our home, said Yi Qingtang. Of course, it would be best if every person's loyalty could be individually tested. But at the moment, they lack the time to do so. Furthermore, Yi Qingtang also believed they knew that if they went over to the ancient Yu clan, they would be mere lackeys in the eyes of the clan. Who would willingly be a lackey? Sigh. I hope so. Perfected Xianqin heaved a sigh. After some discussion between perfected Xianqin and Yin Yang perfected Lord, they summoned the 12 peak masters. Yi Qingtang also gathered Taoist Zijin, elder by Kuei, and all the Yin Yang perfected lords in the Yi and Si families. When everyone had congregated, they noticed that perfected Zuanshan's ability had already increased to the realm of Yang Lord. The last time they saw perfected Xianqin, he had been a mere Yin Yang perfected lord. Third heaven. How had he managed to become a Yang Lord, in the span of a few hours? Everyone was perplexed and shocked. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed it. When perfected Xianqin saw that everyone was present, he did not delay further and explained to everyone how his ability had increased so rapidly. But he deliberately hid the fact that little Yu Yun could control the spirit energy in this mainland. This matter was just too unbelievable. Also, perfected Xianqin and Yi Qingtang were worried that some might have evil designs on little Yu Yun if they found out about her special ability. However, even after hiding little Yu Yun's role in this matter, the issue was still shocking. Valley Master Xianqin, are you saying, You have a method to make us young lords? Taoist Zijin was shocked. That's right. Perfected Xianchen nodded with a serious expression. Qingtang found a Dharma treasure that can control spirit energy. Afterward, Perfected Xianchen peered at Yi Qingtang discreetly. This was the explanation that he and Yi Qingtang discussed earlier on. After hearing what Perfected Xianchen said, Elder Bai Kuei and the rest looked at Yi Qingtang in astonishment. Control this mainland's spirit energy? Yi Qingtang nodded and agreed according to the priorly agreed explanation with Perfected Xianchen. Yes. Holy Lady, control this mainland's spirit energy. In this case, we can create a god. The Blood Moon Elder's towering body approached them with great strides, causing thunderous rumbles. Look, how much spirit energy can this huge and unrivaled body of mine digest? In this case, I can become an emperor-level figure. No, I can become a god. Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang in exhilaration. Holy Lady, don't waste any more time. Give me all the spirit energy to digest. By then, I can crush the Yu ancient clan into pieces with a single punch. Give it all to you, that is too much from you. Where are you from and who are you to talk so arrogantly? What do you mean by giving all to you? Can't we become powerful figures and protect our homeland? Eldest young lady, who is this monster? Before Yi Qingtang could explain, the Blood Moon Elder's lips twitched. I'm a monster. What a joke. My unrivaled body can absorb tons of spirit energy, and it is nothing difficult to be an emperor-level figure by then. What do you all want to absorb spirit energy with your ant-like bodies for? It's simply a waste. Also, I am not a monster. I am an elder of the Blood Moon sect, and I possessed this body from an ancient Yu clan elder. Pfft. An elder of Blood Moon sect. Big deal, yeah, I don't see your Blood Moon sect coming to protect our homeland. You're big-sized, so you're great. There are so many emperor-level figures, but there's barely anyone with a body like yours. Yi Qingtang was having a splitting headache from the quarrel, and she frowned immediately. Quiet. Do you all hear it? Told you all to shut up. The Blood Moon Elder snickered. I want you to keep quiet. Yi Qingtang shot a look at Blood Moon Elder. The voice of Blood Moon Elder's current body was like thunder that hurt everyone's eardrums, and no one could withstand it. You're already at the peak of Yang Lord 8th Heaven, and this is the limit that this mainland can withstand. No matter how much spirit energy you absorb, you will only be a Yang Lord on this mainland. It is impossible to become an emperor-level figure, much less a god. Everyone has a different limit for the absorption of spirit energy, and absorbing spirit energy by force will only result in death. Yi Qingtang looked at the Blood Moon Elder and poured cold water on the Blood Moon Elder, waking him up from his beautiful dream of becoming an emperor-level figure. What? This? Blood Moon Elder was surprised by Yi Qingtang's explanation. Taoist Zijin, Elder Bai Kuei, and the rest wanted to laugh when they saw the Blood Moon Elder's expression. This person was truly greedy to want to become an emperor-level figure and even a god. The spirit energy on this mainland was limited. Becoming an emperor-level figure required the absorption of spirit energy, coordination of a corresponding mental state, and even some mysterious enlightenment. On top of that, all of those would only give a tiny chance of becoming an emperor-level figure. The Blood Moon Elder sighed immediately. After everything, he could not absorb spirit energy and was agitated for nothing. Chapter 1166, The Light of Hope, 3. Very quickly, Perfected Xianchen returned to a small pavilion not far away and instructed her to control the spirit energy in the room to prevent others from seeing it. Before long, spirit energy rapidly condensed in the air above, and it was exceptionally rich. Looking at the spirit energy, Elder Bai Kuei exclaimed repeatedly. He was going to be the first person out of everyone to feel this power. Elder Bai Kuei, you must tell me when you've reached your limit, or else the consequences will be dire. Yi Qingtang warned once again. Eldest young lady, I understand. Let's begin. Elder Bai Kuei took a deep breath and said with a nod. As Elder Bai Kuei finished his sentence, the spirit energy in the air rapidly enshrouded him, and strings of spirit energy surged into his body. With just a few breaths, Elder Bai Kuei's martial realm advanced from Yin-Yang perfected Lord 3rd heaven to 4th heaven and subsequently to 5th heaven before everyone's eyes. When he reached the early stage of 8th heaven, Elder Bai Kuei was ghastly white. Unable to bear the ripping pain that his body was experiencing, he shouted loudly. Eldest young lady, enough. Then, the spirit energy that enveloped Elder Bai Kuei faded away immediately. At this instant, everyone was utterly dumbfounded when they looked at Elder Bai Kuei, who was in the early stage of Yin-Yang perfected Lord 8th heaven. Although they learned from perfected Xianqian that Yi Qingtang had a Dharma treasure that could control spirit energy, they still felt inexplicable amazement when they personally saw Elder Bai Kuei advancing from Yin-Yang perfected Lord 3rd heaven to Yin-Yang perfected Lord 8th heaven. Oh my God! This is simply an insane power. Daoist Zijin walked over to Elder Bai Kuei and shuddered when he felt Elder Bai Kuei's Yang Lord aura. Yet, he could not help but be exhilarated. In this case, eldest young lady would definitely help him become a Yang Lord. Eldest young lady, a Yi family branch master cupped his fists and asked Yi Qingtang, perfected Xianqian is at the peak of Yin-Yang perfected Lord 7th heaven, but why is Elder Bai Kuei at Yin-Yang perfected Lord 8th heaven? Yi Qingtang explained. The absorption of spirit energy is based on the cultivator's own physique, martial talent, and mental state. You mean that, a cultivator is like a holder, and every holder is different. Some holders can absorb more spirit energy while others will absorb less spirit energy. The Yi family branch master was in thought. That's right. Yi Qingtang nodded her head. So whether we can become a Yang Lord still depends on whether we can absorb even more energy, Daoist Zijin said. The Blood Moon Elder was rather uninterested in their discussion. How great would it be if he could absorb spirit energy as well? The peak of Yin-Yang perfected Lord 8th heaven was the peak of this mainland. Although Yin-Yang perfected Lord 9th heaven and 10th heaven both belonged to the Yin-Yang perfected Lord realm, these two realms could not be achieved by relying on absorbing spirit energy. When little Luo Shui was just reincarnated, Yi Qingtang once felt the breath of Yin-Yang perfected Lord 10th heaven and had a slight understanding. There was an iron door at a cultivator's dantian. If this iron door could be opened, one could advance to Yin-Yang perfected Lord 9th heaven and even the 10th heaven. Yi Qingtang once tried to open this iron door in her dantian, but no matter how hard she tried or what methods she used, she had no idea where the exact location of this iron door in her dantian was, much less opening it. Chapter 1167, The Light of Hope, 4. In this world, the number of cultivators corresponded to the number of powerful figures with attainments. However, how many people could advance to Yin-Yang perfected Lord 9th heaven and even 10th heaven? These were known as the legendary realms as almost no one could enter it. If Yi Qingtang could advance to Yin-Yang perfected Lord 10th heaven with the injection of spirit energy, the Yu ancient clan would not be a threat at all. However, at this instant, the spirit energy in the air condensed once again and enveloped Daoist Zijin in no time. Under everyone's nervous watch, Daoist Zijin paled and shouted to stop after 10 breaths. Peak of Yang Lord 7th heaven, Daoist Zijin's eyes were filled with disbelief and excitement when he inspected his realm. Everyone there had never thought that they could hope to become a Yang Lord in their lives. Thank you, eldest young lady. Thank you so much. Daoist Zijin walked to Yi Qingtang and bowed. Yi Qingtang, however, was very clear that she was not the one who allowed Daoist Zijin to advance but little Yu Yun. However, in consideration of little Yu Yun's safety, she could not be seen, thus, Yi Qingtang could only represent little Yu Yun to accept their thanks. With Daoist Zijin's success in the lead, the others were filled with anticipation and were eager to try. Without wasting time, Yi Qingtang continued to let little Yuyun control spirit energy in the dark and inject spirit energy into others. Under the continuous injection of spirit energy, 8 out of the 12 peak masters had advanced to the Yang Lord realm. As for the remaining 4 people, their bodies could no longer bear any further injection of spirit energy and only managed to break through to the peak of Yin Yang perfected Lord's 6th heaven. Despite so, those 4 peak masters were satisfied as well. If they could survive in this war, they should be able to reach the Yang Lord realm if they cultivated for the rest of their lives. Time ticked by, and more people's skills were raised. In the evening, perfected Xianchen walked out from the small pavilion and whispered in Yi Qingtang's ears. Little Yuyun is tired and cannot continue to control the spirit energy. Yi Qingtang nodded slightly. Little Yuyun was already doing sufficiently well, and there was no need to hurry to finish in one day now that they had completely grasped this method. Yi Qingtang turned to look at the remaining people who had not received the injection of spirit energy and said, I am tired from controlling the Dharma treasure. I'll continue after a day of rest. You've worked hard, eldest young lady. A few C family Yin Yang perfected lord figures immediately thanked Yi Qingtang with cupped fists. After everyone left, the Blood Moon Elder looked at Yi Qingtang with an odd expression. Holy Lady, when did you obtain a Dharma treasure that can control spirit energy? Why do I not know? The Blood Moon Elder had been following Yi Qingtang but was unaware that Yi Qingtang owned such a Dharma treasure. He had already found it strange when he heard Yi Qingtang saying this, but he was not a fool. Since Yi Qingtang said this publicly, he naturally could not ask her in front of everyone. Seeing that everyone had left, Yi Qingtang was candid and explained the situation to the Blood Moon Elder. A light broke in upon the Blood Moon Elder. Yet, exactly because of this, the Blood Moon Elder was somehow rather moved by Yi Qingtang's decision to tell him about everything. The Blood Moon Elder was aware of the importance of this matter, and the fact that Yi Qingtang did not hide anything from him clearly showed her trust in him. He would definitely not disappoint her. Holy Lady, it's dark already. Where do you think is suitable for me to stay? The Blood Moon Elder took a deep breath and asked Yi Qingtang. Where to stay in? Yi Qingtang sized up Blood Moon Elder's huge body and was speechless for the moment. How about, you find a random mountain valley or something? The Blood Moon Elder's new body was too huge, and there was no room in Falling Sky Valley where he could stay in. Alright. Blood Moon Elder was slightly dumbfounded, and he left helplessly. While this new body was powerful, it was rather troublesome in his day-to-day activities. After the Blood Moon Elder left, Yi Qingtang headed to the small pavilion alone. Little Yuyun was already fast asleep on Yi Qingtang's bed. Knowing that little Yuyun worked hard today, Yi Qingtang did not wake her up for her to have a good rest. Over the 2 days, there was a limit to the time in which little Yuyun controlled the spirit energy, and the process of creating powerful figures slowed down. In this period of time, from the south battlefield, there had been continuous news of the ancient clan's defeat. In less than half a month, the formidable Heavens dynasty and the surrounding land had been completely dominated by Yu ancient clan, and it was said that more than 10 Yang lords from the ancient clan were killed. The north and east battlefield were guarded by Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master respectively, and the situation was considered to be in control at the moment, unlike the south battlefield, which was close to a complete defeat. In reality, it was not that the mainland's obscure ancient clan was weak. It was just that the Yu ancient clan greatly valued little Yuyun, who was in Falling Sky Valley of the Nine Knights dynasty. Thus, they increased the deployment and offense capabilities in the south battlefield. The next morning, Peerless School's sect master paid a visit to Falling Sky Valley personally. The ancient clan wishes to invite Miss Yi to join the south battlefield. The current situation in the south battlefield is not optimistic. The Peerless School sect master was donned in a green robe and was about 60 years old. Standing at the lower end of the main hall, he looked at Yi Qingtang not far away and sighed softly. A peerless school warden who headed to Falling Sky Valley was killed and then revived by Divine King Luo Shui previously, and the peerless school sect master learned of Falling Sky Valley's situation from that warden. What he was more surprised about was that one of perfected Xuanqin's little disciple was already a young lord at such a young age. Now that he met her today, she was indeed impressive. Yi Qingtang looked at the peerless school sect master for a second. After remaining silent for a while, she finally spoke. My master perfected Xuanqin's daughter died in the hands of your peerless school disciples. The peerless school sect master's expression changed when he heard that. From afar, an icy glint and sadness appeared in perfected Xuanqin's eyes. Back then, perfected Xuanqin's daughter had a stunning appearance and was known as Nine Knights Dynasty's top beauty. When the peerless school disciples failed at courting her, she was cruelly humiliated and then killed. Perfected Xianqin had never forgotten and could not forget about this incident. If not for the fact that the current mainland was invaded by outsiders, perfected Xianqin, who had become a young lord, would definitely not leave the matter at that and would definitely fight it out with peerless school. However, given the current situation, Peerless School also belonged to one of the main combat forces in the South battlefield, and the death of any one young lord was a heavy loss to this mainland. I did hear about this matter. The Peerless School sect master nodded hesitantly after a long while and said. However, in the eyes of Peerless School, the Peerless School was superior and represented absolute authority in the Nine Knights Dynasty's land. As such, the Peerless School sect master did not care about it and had never respected Falling Sky Valley. But today, Falling Sky Valley was not like before. Let's not talk about him today. How does Peerless School intend to give Falling Sky Valley an explanation? Yi Qingtang said coldly. I understand. Peerless School sect master looked behind. Two Peerless School senior executives dragged a young man who was about 30 years old into the main hall. Valley Master Xianqin, this is the murderer of your daughter. He was only a disciple in Peerless School back then. He has passed the age for disciples, and his performance is pretty good, so he became a warden in Peerless School. I brought him here to Falling Sky Valley today for you to punish him however you want, Peerless School sect master said. The Peerless School did not care for a mere warden, what the Peerless School minded was just their face. Handing this warden to Falling Sky Valley was equivalent to telling the world that the Peerless School yielded to the Falling Sky Valley. However, the current situation was very unique. The South battlefield had fallen into an extremely disadvantageous position. Should this continue on, Peerless School would definitely be annihilated. Moreover, the Yu ancient clan had already begun invading the Nine Knights Dynasty's land. Furthermore, the Peerless School was at fault for this incident from the start. Yi Qingtang sized up that young warden and then looked at perfected Xianqin. She was very clear that regardless of the conflicts and grudges between Falling Sky Valley and Peerless School, neither party should blow up at the other in such a special period. Perfected Xianqin was naturally aware of the current circumstance as well. Since Peerless School was willing to hand over that disciple, it was considered their act of sincerity, and Perfected Xianqin would not hold on to the past matter. Immediately, Perfected Xianqin walked forward and arrived beside that young male. The young male trembled slightly and looked at Perfected Xianqin in fear. Swoosh! Without uttering a word, Perfected Xianqin struck his palm out and crushed the young male's skull with his palm force. Looking at the young man who tragically died before him, the rage that Perfected Xianqin had been repressing for years seemed to dissipate at this moment. No matter what, he personally avenged his daughter, Valley Master Xianqin. We are extremely regretful of the incident back then. If this mainland can be safe and the enemies are chased away, my Peerless School will definitely give you a satisfying compensation. The Peerless School sect master looked at Perfected Xianqin and said. Perfected Xianqin shook his head. Forget about the compensation. His daughter had already died, and however much compensation was unable to retrieve the situation. Now, his daughter's murderer was personally killed by him, and he did not wish to continue pursuing or mentioning this matter. After seeing that perfected Xianqin had completely calmed down, Daoist Zijin told the Peerless School sect master. Tell us about the situation in the South Battlefield. The South Battlefield is guarded by the master of the obscure ancient clan, but the Yu ancient clan increased the deployment of powerful figures into the South Battlefield. It is difficult for us to resist them. The formidable Heavens dynasty is currently lost. Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Baiming Manor suffered heavy losses, and it is the same for the ancient clan, causing parts of the Nine Knights dynasty to be seized as well. The Peerless School's sect master could not help but sigh after informing them of the situation. The sect master of Peerless School wished to gather even more strength now to delay more time. Although just one young lord, Yi Qingtang, did not matter much to the overall situation of the South Battlefield, it was better than nothing to have the combat power of an additional young lord. As long as they could buy enough time, perhaps the North or East Battlefield would have news of victory soon. By then, Pagoda Sword Master or Ultimate Elder would definitely be able to deploy troops to aid the South Battlefield. Yi Qingtang knew what the Peerless School sect master was thinking of, and although it was a good idea, reality was extremely cruel. Currently, with the Yu ancient clan increasing the number of powerful figures in the South Battlefield, Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master could only barely resist the Yu ancient clan in their own battlefields, and this merely slowed down Yu ancient clan's momentum in the complete invasion. As time passed, the poison in the Yu ancient clan members would weaken, and their skills would conversely increase, causing the annihilation of this mainland to be just a matter of time. While little Yu Yun could control the spirit energy on this mainland and produce even more young lords, this was merely delaying the death of this mainland. It was almost unrealistic to completely defeat the Yu ancient clan, as its might was perhaps way beyond imagination. It was a pity that Divine King Luo Shui and those obscure ancient clan figures who could fight against Divine King Luo Shui had already died. Otherwise, any one of them with the power of a yin-yang perfected Lord 10th Heaven could turn the situation around. Regardless of such, no one would sit around and wait for death. Even though they knew it was impossible to succeed, they could not wait for death to arrive. What do you want us to do? Elder Bai Kuei looked at the Peerless School sect master and asked. Head to the battlefield and stop Yu ancient clan's continued invasion. Peerless School sect master said. The thousands of people in the hall successively looked at Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang was now the absolute core of Falling Sky Valley. If she agreed, they would follow her orders as part of their incumbent duty, but if she refused, they would not listen to the Peerless School sect master to head to the battlefield. We understand. It is our foremost duty to play a part now that the mainland is in trouble. Once we are done settling with the valley's matters, we will head to the battlefield immediately to protect our homeland. Yi Qingtang looked at the Peerless School sect master and promised. All right. I will not impose on you any further. The Peerless School sect master cupped his fists in gratitude and left. After the Peerless School sect master left, Perfected Xianqin looked at Yi Qingtang and asked, Qingtang, will we be able to guard the South Battlefield? Perfected Xianqin had never witnessed the Yu ancient clan's prowess before, thus, he was unclear. However, if they could be so powerful that both Pagoda Sword Master and Ultimate Elder could not do much against them, they must be extremely powerful. Very difficult, Yi Qingtang said honestly. The situation of the South Battlefield was not optimistic, and it could even be said to be the most dangerous battlefield out of the three battlefields. It was already very hard for the ancient clan master, Peerless School, and Baiming Manor to resist until now. Although Yi Qingtang did not wish to boost other people's morale and reduce one's own courage, the fact was such, and there was nothing they could do. However, although they were unable to defeat the Yu Ancient Clan, the participation of the Falling Sky Valley would definitely slow down the Yu Ancient Clan's invasion, and there may be a turn in the situation in this period of time. In reality, Yi Qingtang had already made preparations to participate in the war from the start. Letting little Yu Yun raise everyone's skills was in preparation for this. However, she never expected the South battlefield situation to be so severe, and its tide of defeat was earlier than she predicted. Given the current situation, even if the Peerless School sect master did not come forward personally, she would still participate in the war. The entire mainland was at stake, and Yi Qingtang would definitely not cower. 2 days later, with little Yu Yun's strength, a batch of yin-yang perfected lords was produced in Falling Sky Valley again. The majority of them were the younger generation of the Yi family disciples. However, the disciples' skills were lacking as compared to the senior executives. Most of them were between Yin Lord 5th Heaven and 6th Heaven, and only a few top talents in the Yi family were young lords. For the senior executives, such as the Yi family clan master, Yi Ling, and Si family clan master Si, their martial foundations were too weak, and their martial talents were ordinary. Thus, it was difficult for them to become powerful figures even with little Yu Yun controlling the spirit energy. Over this period of time, Yi Qingtang also had discussions with Absolute Monarch of Heaven and the others from Central Mainland. This war concerned their safety, and they were originally from the Central Mainland, which meant that their skills were greater than the Falling Sky Valley and Yi family masses. As such, Yi Qingtang suggested for them to be responsible for investigating the war situation of the Yu Ancient Clan and especially on their commander. The Yu Ancient Clan commander had not shown up now, and no one knew how his skills were. The Absolute Monarch of Heaven and the rest were most suited to investigate this. Everyone hit off with Yi Qingtang instantly and left the valley to investigate at once. 2 days later, Yi Qingtang headed to Peerless School to look for the sect master and told him to bring her to the headquarters of the South battlefield. The Peerless School sect master immediately led Yi Qingtang to the South battlefield headquarters quickly. The headquarters of the South battlefield. Peerless School sect master led Yi Qingtang into the main hall. Most of the people in the hall were young lords of the ancient clan, and each of them was extremely powerful. In the secular part of this mainland, there were barely any powerful figures. Apart from Ultimate Elder and Pagoda Sword Master, the real powerful figures were in the ancient clan. If not for the urgent situation that the mainland was facing now, the obscure hidden clan would definitely not show up. However, despite such, they were on the losing ground when they encountered the Yu Ancient Clan of the Central Mainland. A white-haired elderly was seated on the host seat in the main hall. That elderly was the master of the Ancient Clan and was also the presiding general of the South battlefield. Although this elderly's skills could not be compared to that of Divine King Luo Shui and the powerful ancient figure whom Divine King Luo Shui killed, it was still extraordinary. This is Yi Qingtang. Peerless School sect master looked at the ancient clan master and said. The elderly nodded slightly and sized up Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang became a young lord at such a young age and was indeed special. However, in the obscure ancient clans between the mountains and seas, people like Yi Qingtang were not considered rare. There was an even younger yet formidable young lord in the obscure ancient clans. It was a pity that that young lord was killed by a Yu ancient clan talent in the previous battle of the city. Obscure ancient clans never appeared before anyone, and most of the people on this mainland did not know about their existence. Even Yi Qingtang was unclear about them. It was after seeing them today did Yi Qingtang realize how powerful the obscure ancient clan's force was. Peerless School, Phantom Valley, and Baiming Manor were the three strongest forces of this mainland, but compared to the obscure ancient clan, they were like stones to a mountain. The martial culture of the obscure ancient clan was very close to that of Central Mainland. If the spirit energy on this mainland was not so thin, this obscure ancient clan probably would not be short of powerful figures in the arcane supremacy and even heavenly venerate realm. However, with the restriction of the low-level mainland, one could not be compared to a powerful figure from a high-level mainland even if he was extremely talented. Such was fate. If the obscure ancient clan was also a force from the central mainland, perhaps they could fight against the Yu ancient clan. There are still 7 cities that have not been attacked on our south battlefield. If even these last 7 cities are lost, the Nine Knights dynasty will fall to them, and it's equivalent to us losing the entire south region. One obscure ancient clan elderly looked at the ancient clan master and said. Upon hearing that, the ancient clan master wore a serious expression. The last 7 cities were potent to the entire south region, and the consequences were dire should they be lost to the ancient Yu clan. They were currently in a life and death crisis. Yi Qingtang listened from the side without interrupting them. How is the deployment in the 7 cities? The ancient clan master asked a moment later. Among the 7 cities, 9 Fantasy City and Heaven City do not have sufficient people, and Heaven City's situation is particularly serious. There are 10 young talents of the ancient Yu clan, with 3 of them guarding outside the city. Several figures who charged forward either sustained heavy injuries or were killed. Mo Feng was killed by one of those ancient Yu clan talents. The ancient clan master fell silent. Yi Qingtang had heard of the south battlefield situation from the Peerless School sect master. Mo Feng was the youngest talent of the obscure ancient clan. He was less than 14 years old but had already become a young lord. However, he died in the war outside Heaven City 3 days ago, and this was a great blow to both the obscure ancient clan and the south battlefield. Lord, Heaven City requires the deployment of powerful figures the most. Can Peerless School sect master or Phantom Valley sect master be deployed? The ancient clan elderly asked. Upon hearing that, the Peerless School sect master took a step forward and said, the 3 mighty forces are currently guarding Sky Eagle City, and it is already a heavy toll on us. I'm afraid we are unable to leave and head to Heaven City for assistance. All the powerful figures who were guarding each city could hardly look after themselves currently and did not have any energy to assist any other cities. After a few breaths later, that ancient clan elderly looked at Yi Qingtang and observed her. This lady is rather skilled at Young Lord 8th Heaven. She can head to Heaven City. Yi Qingtang did not express her opinions. Everyone else in the hall was much clearer of the south battlefield situation than her, and if there was a need, she would be bound to her duty. This is Miss Yi Qingtang. She is one of the young lords of our mainland and is extremely skilled. Peerless School sect master explained. Upon hearing that, the Baiming Manor chief looked at Yi Qingtang coldly. This lady annihilated Baiming Manor's subsidiary force, Yunshao sect, and even killed one young lord from their Baiming Manor. Miss Yi, are you willing to head to Heaven City to support them? The ancient clan master looked at Yi Qingtang and asked. Yes. Yi Qingtang nodded in agreement. You're tuning into the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.